and ever-changing views, and computer terminology, Commodore news. Are you keeping up with the Commodore? Yes, the Commodore is keeping up with you. Are you keeping up with the Commodore? Cause the Commodore is keeping up with you. Are you keeping up? Cause the Commodore is keeping up with you. Are you keeping up? Cause the Commodore is keeping up with you.
Hello and welcome to episode 67 of Zapped to the Past. My name is Adrian Mills and I'm joined as ever by Graham Radding. If you haven't listened before, then this is a podcast where we discuss games that were released for the Commodore 64. We're using the magazine Zap 64 as a monthly guide for the games to focus on, but of course we are in no way affiliated with Zap 64 itself. So this week, we're going to be starting our look at November 1987 and the first batch of games reviewed in issue 31 of Zap 64, along with what was also going on in UK music that month. So Graham, what have we got going on this week?
In this local village fate complete with massively overwhelmed and dangerous looking bouncy castle, trash or treasure unlucky dip, incinerated but free barbecue food, crappy prize draw and name card, and empty beer tent of an episode. We dive into our best geese, moxo our yammies, say our 8-bit us, and then ki as we prepare for some freeway fighting action with IK+. Play some big pool or little snooker, depends how you look at it, in the physics-defying tiny ball world of On Cue, and then travel to a well-known DIY retailer to rescue some kids that have become trapped in the oddly named land of Neverwhere. We also cover ourselves in bodybuilder's oil before heading into the nearly brand arcade game jungles with the peculiar single-colour sprite-filled world of Athena. Explore the complexities of our own minds and ideas by rotating loads of brain cogs in the unusual pi r squared, and start clicking our fingers and asking if the Warriors are coming out to play in the gang-laden proto-side-scrolling beat-em-up Renegade. If that dubious incinerated wild boar sandwich hasn't turned you vegetarian and you're now thinking the homemade pickled cabbage might be worth a munch, we go looking for Hanty, dressed as Santy, but avoiding Calty. It will all make sense later, maybe. In the gauntlet-ish, confusing Mean City, grab our water wings, floats and goggles before diving into the pool for a good old game of... water polo? In water polo. Okay, water polo. Tackle the pesky rebels of Sentinel-4 to thwart their weapon warehousing schemes with a massive tank in the somehow Pengo-inspired Anarchy, before finally heading into the beyonds of space, time and reality inside a mahoosive sprite spaceship, upgrading and shooting and admiring the crazy coding and the multiplex sprites. And did I tell you about the coding and the cleverness? In the arty Morpheus. There's some good games here finally, and with at least one of these, you can punch someone right in the crotch if they say otherwise. That is always a good thing.
Smashing. For
Ace.
mash gets smash. That's what I
for
say.
Mash.
4 mash, 3 turtle doves.
4 pals of mash.
3 cream
the lesser known 12 days of November.
Well, it was 12 days of Christmas around our way. You know, in Grimsby, there was no plum puddings or anything, or Lords of Leaping.
No, but people were starting to put the decorations out.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we were one of them. Yeah,
No.
my mum was a fervent Novemberist.
And I admire that dedication to the dangly foil decoration.
Oh, there was so much dangly foil.
I like it though. I like the way your mum did your. It was ace. That's how you should have a house. If you imagine
Absolutely.
a house full of amazing dangly decorations, because that's how it should be. That's exactly how a house should be.
Yeah.
No, it's all stylized now and color matching tinsel and stuff. No,
It was just missing the jolly fat man in the corner giving presents out, literally. It was a proper grotto.
it was good. That's how it should
I know.
be.
Yeah, so with that festive will in mind...
Yes, because we're nearly there. We're a month before the festiveness.
Yeah, my ear's still blocked, by the way. Still.
What?
I've been to the doctor. I'll be getting it sorted next week. It's, I don't know.
Did you look at it and go, yeah, it's blocked? So how are they going to do? Suck it out?
Pretty much, yeah. They just they bring in an emu.
Okay.
And, it's a medical emu, so... Oh, yeah.
Fair enough. He didn't just lean gently in and give you a kiss on your ear?
And, it blows out.
Let me just apply this. Now, is that any better?
he just shocks me with some news. I'm like...
yeah, pop. Ah.
I was shocked at that news.
Okay, blocked ear as it is.
It is. So once again, my delivery may be lent over.
Slightly deaf to the left.
Yeah, but I'll be all right. So on that earache of a bombshell, let's move along. So we're getting to our first game.
Are we not doing the cover?
Oh yeah, God, you see, I lose flow, I lose my thread. Yes, let's talk about the cover, because I had things to say about this bloody cover. stop doing previews for covers.
Yeah, well, is that something that they're doing more often than not now, aren't they? But they didn't used to do that, as far as I remember.
Well, it does, because, I mean, if it goes back to Wizardry, if you remember.
Yeah, I just don't think they seem to do more of these now, or is it maybe just these issues? I don't know. But yeah.
I don't know, yeah.
Nice
Just
cover,
stop
though.
doing it. It is, but you've got games like Morpheus, Codex, Renegade, International Karate Plus. You know.
Yeah, there's some games they could have done a cover for there, but the Hunter's Moon, man, Hunter's Moon and 3D glasses.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing I want to talk about. Are we starting into the realm of the novelty editions?
No, they didn't really do so well, the 3D with the green and the red, did they? And things.
No, it was just annoying, gave you an headache.
I mean, it would do, yeah. I can't remember what the scientific way it works, but yeah. I never liked it. I don't really like 3D, if I was honest. Not that kind of 3D.
I saw Creature from the Black Lagoon in 3D at Whitgift Cinema with red and green glasses on. It wasn't
black and
film.
white,
He was just walking. He was just walking around. It was kind of
I was
scary.
going to say, the film's black and white. It has absolutely no effect.
Absolutely, I was like, "Wow, this is amazing." There was one bit sort of thing was there
Best
was a
3D ever.
there was a massive trombone that came right out the screen at me. It was kind of weird. That's the bit I remember.
Just actually someone sat in front of you with a trombone, turned and went "Bwah!" in your face. You're like, wow, this 3D is incredible.
It's
And
amazing.
it seems strange to have a trombone in the jungles when there's where it was, the swamps. But there you go.
Well, you know, they were getting down for a bit of a hoedown first. There was a thing before if I remember, the creature walks in and scares someone, and you know.
Well, to be fair, Swampy Trombone sounds like a sax player from some jazz band, doesn't he? And on saxophone tonight, Swampy Trombone. Here he is, everyone. He's happy to be here, or maybe he's ain't. We don't know. He speaks fluent trombone. No one can understand him.
Apart from Terence Trent D'Arby, who's fluent in all the wind instruments, as we said before. Get Terence in, we'll talk to him.
What was that? You want pizza now? No time. But yes, there is the 3D glasses. I don't remember. I remember this cover, and I remember this issue of Zap. I don't remember why the 3D glasses were a thing. Well, I suppose there's something inside.
There's pages within the map, within the magazine that are 3D.
Right. Well, that explains the glasses then.
It does.
Just gave away for a goof.
As it says, there's a super special 3D 32-page tips supplement.
32 page of 3D tips. Mm-hmm. Sounds like some nightmare world of tea drinking. Anyway,
just Julian Rignall sat there drinking tea for 32 pages. Oh, this is lovely, very lovely in 3D. Just a really slow motion, like you have to flick the corners of the page, and it's like an animation.
Look at how real it looks. It's like he's drinking tea right in front of your face. Shut up, you. No one asked you. Get out. He's going. He's gone now.
Oh,
he ain't coming back.
Good old swampy trombone. On that trombone note, I think we've done the cover. There you go. It's all right, though, isn't it? It's quite nicely done.
It's good. It's an amazing drawing. Again, he's done that. I like the actual drawing itself of the spaceships and the fire and the lasers and all that. It's pretty amazing. I love that.
Yeah, it feels a bit cramped, the actual artwork, though.
It's all a bit squashed in because of the giant 3D glasses, but okay.
Yeah, but yeah. So, Ollie, can you make it fit over there? Well, kind of, and just make it all white. Kind of.
Oh, yeah, I'll do that. All right.
Okay, I'll do it. So there we go. Yeah, so Hunter's Moon is on the cover, and it says coming soon. Stop it. Just do one of the games for this month.
Yes, damn it.
Anyway, there we go. That's the cover. Cover done.
Cover done.
Let's move along then. Should we get into our first game?
Let's do that.
So let's get into our first one. And it's a biggie. It's a full price one. Graham, go on. Tell us all about IK Plus.
Well, there's not loads to tell about IK Plus, not in terms of its, but there's some interesting things and stuff, isn't there? I mean, IK Plus is possibly, I think, the greatest fighting game on the C64, certainly. I think it's the only one that I could really topple. Some of the contenders in this field are small and few in many sense, really. But this also didn't get a gold medal. Probably should it have done? Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, this is Archer McLean, of course. Archer McLean did this, did the graphics, did the code. Title screen for this is Paul Doherty, Doc, which is like amazing fist with the plus. It's just everything about this. Music by Rob Hubbard. You've got an A team of people have come together for this. Mm-hmm. And obviously they've taken International Karate, which was their particularly good budget-y game, really, wasn't it? It was about $5.95 or something like that. It wasn't it full price?
Right,
that
£6-7, yeah.
And that was a one-on-one fighter. How do you make a game like that better? You could, if you wanted to, just go for a wander around the world with one guy and just endlessly fight ninjas who would mask people and clowns, which you do in Fist 2.
You could do that.
That's one way. That is a way. It's not the best way. Or you could just do this: add a third player to the mix, and that's exactly what you get in IK Plus. So in this, you've got some limitations because the backgrounds in the first game were all different cities that you were fighting in. I seem to remember there was Sydney, and there was others. There was
eight,
cities,
I think.
Yeah. And that's the international, hence the international part. Here, one straightforward background, which is kind of a nice scene, I suppose, little animated scene with sort of ripples on the water and little spike. It's one scene. And you've got your three fighters in the front, all the same size, all the same one. You've got the white, blue, and red. And it's kind of I don't know how you play it, but it's kind of a you versus the two AIs, or you and a mate versus the AIs, and you've got sort of different modes of play in this. But either way, you've got three players. There's more moves in this as well, or a slight change of moves. But all three players compete at the same time. So instead of the way that the first game played, you've got this one with three players on the screen instead. There's no slowdown. There's no code issues here. This is the most... I don't actually know fully how they managed to pull this off in the way they did, because this game, from what the Zapped review said, came out of nowhere. So no, there wasn't a great deal of like hurrah about it. It's like, oh, but yeah, we've done that. It's like, what?
Yeah.
It's incredible. So some of the moves have changed. So instead of the turn kick of the first game, you've got in the somersault, you've now got the headbutt, which is hilarious. And I do like a good headbutt. I liked it when he was in Barbarian. So you've got the flip flop or the back flip or the whatever you want to call that, and a splits jump. The split jump, which is animated from Cannonball Run, where he's traced it over Jackie Chan when he does the jump split. That's that bit. That's where he gets that from. Famously.
Yeah.
So, and with the splits jump, you can actually kick two people down at the same time in the game as well, if you get it right. Maybe you've done it in the time. I didn't do it in my replay of this, but it is doable.
Yes.
All three fighters are the same speed. They've all got the same strength. They've all got the same access to the same moves. You start with 0 points, and the more moves you do, it's the first 6 points to win that particular round. And the fighter with the least points, they say drop out, but is going to lose out of that. So just as long as it's not you as the main player, you're not going to be out. Every two survived rounds, so every time you go through a round and you've survived, there's a bonus round, which in this is kind of a ball and shield game where you get these balls flying at you from the left and the right, and you've got to bat them away with like a shield. And if you get the survival bonus, you get a load of points. So it's just kind of that. The difficulty goes up. I think you can go all the way up to 25 levels at this. And when you get to level 25, you're at black belts, because essentially as you go up, you go through the stages of karate in the different belts. The player ante and the AI ante goes up as well. They do get harder. They're not just stood there waiting for you to move. Sometimes they do. Sometimes there's different ways these things can play out in this game. I think the AI in this game is actually incredible, because you never quite know what they're going to do. Sometimes they seem to team up. Sometimes they seem to hate each other. Sometimes one of them seems to be trying to sort of trick you, and then the other one does the moves. You've got 17 moves in total that you can do, which are all obviously joystick controlled with a combination of the joystick and the fire button. You can actually do combination moves in this as well if you do the movements in the right. So if you do a move and then just as it's coming to the end of that move, you go to the next move, it will actually flow, and there'll be a flow of moves as well. Incredible that it does all those things. Really smooth animation, really, really clever stuff. That joystick system is the system to use. I think that's the default system. I went straight into this, having not played IK for quite a while, but I went straight into it and did not have an issue with this game. Straight to green belt, straight into the fighting moves. It's absolutely instantaneously brilliant. It really is about as good as it gets for control of something. So you can be hit in the head and the chest. You can be hit all over the place. Obviously, there's the classic cock punch in here as well, which is a real satisfying pounding sound in this one as well. It's incredible.
Yeah,
really.
It is, yes.
But you got all these different moves you can do. If you get the player from behind and you kick them down, or you kick them or punch them from behind, so you can also do a bum punch, which looks very painful. The way he crumbles to the ground, it's no wonder he does, really. But if you do that, you only get half the points if you go around beating people up from behind. You've got to face people on. Always look at your opponent in the eyes. Always in eye, says Mr. Miggy, doesn't he? Always looking eye. So the game does get progressively... Mr. Miyagi says it. The game does get progressively harder. Like I said, you go up to 20. You just keep going. So you'll play the round as long as you can stay in the game, as long as you aren't the person at the bottom of the fight. When the little referee appears and issues the score, then you're going to be just carrying on. Things are going to get more difficult. Each round lasts about 30 seconds. So you're on a timer, so you can knock your opponents out and win the round. And if you do that, you get a time bonus. But if it just goes to time, then it's just the person who's got the most punches or kicks in and has scored the most points in that round is the one that goes through at the top. Second is second. If you last, well, you're going to have a rough time. So everything about this game, I think, is it's all about the polish for me with this. This game absolutely shouts polish and finish. The animations on the players are amazing. The size of the sprites are really good. I think they're about the same size as IK. I think they're much. Yeah. I don't think they're bigger. They might maybe slightly smaller. I'm not sure. I didn't compare it, but I think they're about the same. But there's no slowdown on this. The players all move really fast. Or at the same speed. You can even increase the speed and vary the speed of play in this game if you use the keys 1 to 5. There's also little tricks you can do. There's loads of little keyboard things. So you can press some of the keys, TGC, VB. That changes the colours of the sunsets and stuff in the background. If you press E plus S or E and S, you can make the player drop their pants and silly stuff like that. If you just stand there doing nothing, he'll do that anyway. Or he'll look at you, like got his hands go down. It gives you this kind of Gormless look, which I think is inherited from IK. But all these little sequences, all of these little nuances, these little things are all pumped along by a really good. It's not my favourite Rob Hubbard soundtrack, I have to say, and that's only because I actually do like the International Karate soundtrack. I don't like these kind of weird remixy soundtracks that have been coming out. I didn't like Ave de Monte for that reason. I didn't particularly like the game that we looked at in the last one, which was Mega Apocalypse, which has that kind of remixy one.
Yeah.
But this one, it's because it's in the background, because it's not massively obtuse and it's not shouting at you, because Mega Apocalypse shouted at you. This one doesn't do that. It does kind of move the game along, which is kind of what you want it to do. The sound effects in this, Rob, amazing grunts, punches, whack sounds. They're all really, really good, and they sound brilliant when you're playing it. So this game is brilliant in one player. The longevity is something you can question, I suppose. But if you're going to play these games, you know what you're going into for. And the challenge of this is to get the scores and to get those belts and you can get better at these games. You can block in this game, and you can do. It's not just about jumping in there and scrapping it out. You can actually block and you can think about where you're going to be in the moves, and you can pull off some blinding little cheeky moves as well. So the player will just jump in and a quick swift punch to the face or a high kick can take him down. It's just brilliant. So this is one of my absolute favourite games on the Commodore 64, right up in nearly the top. They cycle through. This is absolutely one of my favourite games, and it's one of my favourite games ever, but it's certainly one of my favourite games on the C64. It is utterly brilliant in almost every way. I genuinely like all the look and feel and the way it plays, the way the animations, the players, everything about the control is as it should be. There's no bugs, there's no lagginess, there's no stupid story, no story arc really to follow or anything daft like that. It is exactly what you want it to be. A 2-on-1, 1-on-2 fighting game with really clever AI, really good graphics, really well animated, really interesting stuff going on in the background. Everything about this game serves the game's purpose. It does the one thing that it's meant to do incredibly well. It is de facto, I think, one of the greatest fighting games of all time, certainly on the C64. It's better than all the others, and that takes some doing to do that. So there's something I don't like about this game. It's a technical showcase of how to code a game on the C64, because everything in this is incredibly optimized. This stuff, I still don't know how he's doing some of that stuff. It's such a brilliantly programmed game. I can't rave about this enough. It just didn't get a gold medal. Again, Sizzler, though. It was a Sizzler, but 93%.
Yeah, 93, I don't know.
Yeah. I really, really like International Karate Plus on every format. I've played this on pretty much everything. I still go back to the C64 version because I think it's brilliant. What about you?
Yeah. There's not too much to add to that. I think you pretty much covered everything. I find it interesting that Archie McLean, he only made 3 games for the C64. I always thought he made more, but he only made 3. And you've got the best defender game in Drop Zone and the best 2 fighting games.
Absolutely.
It's quite the record, really. International Karate, IK Plus, Defender, Drop Zone. There you go. And the thing with IK Plus is it's that, isn't it? It's International Karate Plus 1, and that one is another fighter. But that other fighter ups the ante so much more. It's more than just plus 1. It's I can't remember what's the exponentially better, because it just does loads more. It feels more chaotic. It's more ferocious. It's more visceral. It's more unpredictable, and it's probably more difficult as well because of all that. So everything you think, just adding one more character. Well, it's just one more character, but 3 fighters on screen. Suddenly, you've got people coming at you from, you could team up, especially if you do 1 versus computer. That, I think, is where it really shines, this game. But even 1 versus 2 computers, they're not working together all the time. Like I said, sometimes they'll just beat the crap out of each other, and you're like, okay. From a technical perspective, it's incredible. I mean, one of the characters is made with bitmap characters sprites. It's like not even sprites.
Mind-boggling.
It just boggles my mind. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he did it. It's not even sprites. How do you animate characters like that? Add on to that the speed at which it plays, like you've noted, the options to speed it up or slow it down, the constant fighting, which I mean by that is like not being out if you come second. Is a really nice, just come second. As long as you come second, you keep going. And that's really all you need to do. The mini game in the middle is great fun. Making the trousers fall down, changing the background colours, the little fish, the spider animations in the background. It's all brilliant. It's the pinnacle, as you rightly said, of C64 fighting games, without a doubt. it is the best one. I was looking forward to getting to this, hoping it was still as good as I remembered. And it is. It's ace. I thoroughly enjoyed my time with Barbarian. I enjoyed my time with Interest to Cry. I enjoyed my time with Way of the Exploding Fist. This is just something else. And it's because of that third character. And I was trying to think. I think, when Street Fighter lands, or Street Fighter 2 lands in about 3 years down the line, it's about 1990, is it? Street Fighter 2, 89, 90?
Something like that.
Something like 91, something like that. That obviously sets in stone fighting game. That is the thing, sort of thing. But it always to me, it's like the road not traveled is the more characters on screen.
Yes.
And this is a good example. I was trying to think of some others that do that. And there was Power Stone, but that was 3D on the Dreamcast, which had 4 players all duking it out and fighting against each other. But I can't think of many other pure fighting games that have more than just. Your Mortal Kombats are just one-on-one. Can you think of any others that do more than just one-on-one?
No, I can't. I honestly can't.
So, and I feel it's such a technical thing that's not been a furrow that's not been ploughed. It's like, just look at this and just see how much more it adds to it by having more people involved in the fight at any one time.
It does.
But once you get past Street Fighter 2, and you get into your virtual fighters and your Tekkens and all like that, it's kind of cemented in stone.
The cameras get a bit weird there, don't they?
Yeah, and I imagine it would. But like I said, Power Stone is a 3D game on the Dreamcast where the camera is sort of a bit more dynamic and it moves around and you're picking up stuff and hitting people. And that's 4-player. That was quite a laugh. And I suppose you've got things recently like Gang Beasts and stuff which do that kind of that crazy multiplayer fighting and things like Fall Guys and stuff, which is kind of going down that road a little bit. But for pure flat 2D multi-action stuff, this shows it can work.
I suppose you could. If you take this logic a little bit further, you've got your Ninja Gaidens and your games like that, because it's one player against multi-fighting people. That's more down the beat 'em up kind of. It's more down the street,
we'll
not the sort of side scrolling one, not side scrolling, but side on 2D fighting like IK Plus. There isn't many, if any. You're right, I really can't think of any.
No, I can't. No, I mean, Ninja Gaiden and stuff, that comes from another game that we'll be talking about in this episode.
Yes, there is. We've got the beginning of something quite interesting there, but yeah.
Yeah, so that's that. But this sort of standard single screen, side on, beating people up. You had tag teams, so you had it was Dead or Alive 2, which allowed to tagging and stuff, but it's still not, and Thingy, I think there was one of the, I can't remember. Anyway, it's a strange one, and it's a weird one that no one ever attempted it beyond this, I think, which is a strange omission. Crazy. But best fighting game on C64 by a country mile, as far as I'm concerned, because it's just fun. Yep. If we ever do some together, stuff where we actually play some games together, either for YouTube or whatever, this will definitely be one of them. You'll probably kick my ass. Yeah. I remember you used to kick my ass on this on the Amiga all the time.
I got quite good at this. I mean, even it's like I say, on my first play when I replayed it for this podcast, I went straight to green belt, got 20,000 points.
Oh, right, yeah, you're going to beat the shit out of me.
It's just, I don't know why, I've just always had a bit of, I think it's because I played it so much. I did play this a lot.
Yeah, I know you did.
Even on the Amiga, loads.
Yeah.
Loads and loads.
So there we go. Good one to start with. That's IK Plus. Makes up for the last month. Only one big game. There you go.
Yay.
Let's move along, because I'm sure the next one will do just as good. Because it's another sports game. This is On Cue. On Cue. This is £3. This is a Mastertronic added dimension. So this is two. You may call them pool and snooker. I call them two ball and stick games for the price of one. In this Mastertronic Added Dimension release, it's $2.99. I couldn't find out for definite who did the C64 version for this. There's no listing I could find. According to Moby Games, though, someone called Sean Dubray did the Spectrum, Atari, and C16 versions. So I'm going to hazard a guess he probably did the C64 version as well. But I can't say for sure. It did say the names on all the cassette kit versions as well, but I couldn't find a shot of the back of the case, so I'm not sure. What I can say for sure, though, is that this is not a good version of either stick and ball game. So both pool and snooker to you and I, and it's not good. It's a top-down rendition of pool and snooker, okay? So each game, and for some reason, each game must be loaded separately. I don't know why, considering they're very similar.
That's weird.
Yeah, why must I load pool and snooker? Just it's not that much different, but we'll come to some of these idiosyncrasies in a bit, because the view of each game is pretty much identical, bar the balls on the table. The physics in each mode are the same as well. I can only assume all those rules are taking up so much memory. But
very, very, very. Yep, loads of memory for them rules.
Anyway, whatever the reason, pick your chosen stick and ball game and load it up. What you're greeted with on load is a top-down view of the table. And now here is where the problem starts. So no matter whether you pick pool or snooker, the size of the table is the same, and so are the balls. So that means you're either playing snooker on a 6-foot table or pool on a 12-foot table, or maybe on some table in the middle, say a 9-foot table.
Error.
This is not good. Snooker and pool need very different table sizes. I mean, pool is a chunky. The cushions are chunkier, pockets are bigger, and in a pool table, and you go to a snooker table, and it's much different. It's 12 foot. It's double the size. But so yes, to have them both on the same size shows that maybe not a lot of care and attention went into this. Anyway, we're greeted with a table, and on the table are the balls, which are basically just character graphics. Representing either colours. So they're just the round circle character graphic. That's it. That's your balls. So they're either the colours in snooker or what look. I'm going to be kind here and just say the spots and stripes, but it's whatever was used
Noughts
for the
and crosses on it.
noughts and full-ons, whatever. I don't know what they were. So you've got some options of play, which are one player against the computer or two players, or you can leave it and watch a demo. So you play against the computer, you get to pick its skill level from 1 to 9, 1 being the easiest, and you can also choose to set up trick shots if you so desire, but you won't want to do this. So best just to leave that as it
No,
was.
you won't.
You're not going to want to do that. No. So once the game starts, you move a little cross here around the table to indicate where you want to hit the white ball. So that's you press fire, that's the direction it's going to go. Then you choose your spin by holding up, down, left or right. You press fire, and then it goes to how much power you wish to impart. It starts in the middle. You can do less or more. Move this bar along. Once you press the fire, the cue ball that moves off on its way the way you've aimed. And this is where the next and the probably bigger issue rears its head. The physics. So the physics in this game are like nothing I've seen in this world. I mean, they make that Steve Davis's weighty thing look like proper weighty balls and whatever. Balls will speed up or slow down in this on collision with no real coherence or thought for friction and loss of speed. There's nothing. Sometimes they'll just stop, or sometimes they'll hit a cushion as if it's a pinball flipper. They'll gain speed and race across the table. I've never seen a ball hit a cushion and speed up in real life. Just those in this house we've obeyed the laws of thermodynamics, whatever.
Yes, exactly.
The sound effects that accompany all this random ball bouncing are scratchy and horrible, and there's little reward for trying to line up your shots, because lining up your shots is also very hard because it's character graphics. So the cross is just a plus sign, and thus you can see where this is leading. The resolution of the C64 has you very little in the way of fine tuning. You've only got the balls are like a few pixels across, so you're like trying to line up anything is just a nightmare. So no, this is not very good. We've yet to see even a whiff of a decent pool game or snooker on this machine, and this really does nothing to change that. No different size tables, 2 games, same size balls, awful physics. Even for £3, this is a poor offering and should be quickly forgotten about. If you want to play pool, go to a pub. You'll have way more fun and you won't be playing it on a 12-foot table. That's it. This was awful. This was really bad. 28% it got. I suppose that's 14% a game, but
yeah,
maybe. Did you enjoy your time being on cue?
No, I did not. A very tiny, like you say, tiny table. I spotted that straight. I'm like, that's strange. And it's just tiny everything. Very flicky as well. When you hit the ball, there's kind of flickiness, and because it's characters, they kind of sometimes sort of flick and disappear, and it's all a bit horrible. Yeah. It's 2 games in. I say 2 games in 1. It's 2 games in 2. But neither of these games are any good. No. And they've got it's like exactly as you described. They're both inherited exactly this. Well, many of the same problems. The principal one being this is Newton's worst nightmare in terms of bloody physics. He'd jump up out his grave and go, "Good Lord! That's not how you play stickball."
He spat in his grave, hit the side, and came off quicker.
He would, yeah. He was just banging his head against the wall for ages, and no. The physics is all over the shop. But that's because this isn't an application of physics. This is some kind of application of, I don't know what they are. But none of the balls have the mass and the weight that are needed to indicate that they would have slowdown and friction. And so those things don't apply. So what you end up with is what you get, which is this flicky ping pong-esque affair with tiny ping pong balls pinging everywhere. I hit one shot and it must have taken 5 minutes for the balls to stop moving. They were just constantly going. I'm like, is this ever going to stop? I've discovered perpetual motion. It just cannot be stopped.
Maybe
like,
playing
this is just
in space.
Stupid.
We say that about Steve Davis's as well.
It's exactly what we said. You need weighty balls for this. The sound effects, they were really weird. It's meant to be balls clipping and clacking together. It sounded like a tiny marching band drummer was trapped in a cupboard. It's like, tapping to get out. Help, I'm trapped. I mean, it's just terrible. Each slow was plodding. Each turn, was plodding and slow, and it took ages to do anything. Moving that cross was stupid because you had to move the white ball first, which was a mysterious affair anyway. Moving that around was like, what the hell? I pushed up and it didn't go. I'm like, no, I'm not going up. I'm like, so I pushed it to the left and then I could push up. I'm like, what rules are you following here? And then when I aimed with the cross, it seemed pointless. It was arbitrary, as was the power. I put that power to full blast. Now, I assumed that at full blast, that would shatter the other balls it was going to hit, because this thing was... I did it. I previously played when I played the pool game. I did a shot at about 3/4 power, and it was just went on forever. This ball's bouncing everywhere, it just didn't stop. Then when I did the snooker game and did the same thing on full power, thinking I better break these, the balls at the beginning of the game with the pack with a little bit of gusto. I may as well I don't know what happened. It just went plod, clicky, clacky, and the drummer started. I'm like, what is this shite? It's crap. And you can't gauge any angles from that stupid cross. I tried. I got a red ball that was right over the pocket. I mean, nobody could have missed that. Even a chimpanzee on a bad day would have been able to get that on a real table. I put my magic X over the direction of and it just went off and clipped the ball on the left, and it just started ricocheting and bouncing and ricocheting all over the place. I'm like, how did you end up there? How did that happen? This is not possible. Anyway, it was crap. So utter rubbish, load of shite, avoid on all counts. 28% of shit. Rubbish.
Indeed.
Boos.
Off cue.
Yes, off with its cue.
Indeed. Will there be no more stick and ball for you? You'll get the ball on. You get stick on your balls. That's what I say. Anyway, what a crap thing. What a crap thing. So that's on cue. Rubbish. Let's move along quickly. Let's get out of this dodgy pool hall and get into something more different. Graham, did you enjoy frequenting the Land of Neverwhere?
The Land of Neverwhere is coded by Richard Palmer. I don't know why I said it like that. It is coded by Richard Palmer, the graphics by John Palmer. I'm guessing no relation. Maybe they are related. I don't know. Richard Palmer did New Zealand Story in the end. Well, he did the code for it.
He went on to do some interesting stuff, didn't they?
Yeah, and then John Palmer did Target Renegade and Rastan graphics. So the Palmers, everyone, the Palmers. Hey, the Palmers, everyone. Anyway, so this is $1.99. I don't know. Who released it? Is it Powerhouse?
Yeah, it's Powerhouse. Of course, it's a Powerhouse release.
Powerhouse release. So after the Great Battle of Fang, Adrian, space children need rescuing.
This story, the back of this case.
Because they got stranded in the hidden silos around home base terror. Don't call it that. Don't call it home. I mean, home base is expensive, but I wouldn't say it was terror. But just the idea of children getting trapped in a home base doesn't seem that bad. The store gets open the next day and people go in and go, how long have you been in here? And it's all fun and games. Not in this world, though.
Forever.
They've got to be rescued at all costs before. So as a single mercenary, you've been sent to recover these children from whence they have been trapped. This is done by guiding the space kids to the building on the right side of the planet while avoiding all of the inhabitants that might otherwise thwart your journey. As a mercenary, you can fire bullets to destroy the various things that come at ye, but if you come into contact with them, you'll lose some ego points. Your ego. Why ego points? Why those?
Weird. This game's really weird. It's really strange.
Everything quits and that's it. If you run out of ego, well, you can't rescue children with no ego, it seems. I've never found myself wanting to say those words, but there they are. They're out there now. So if the space kids run into an inhabitant, is kicked out into space, and the mercenary goes back to where he entered the planet. So you're back to the beginning again if that happens. It never happened to me. Did it happen to you? I don't know. So you've got basically you've got, as the graphics, the game plays out, you've got a little tiny kid with you, which I could make go up and down in some weird way. By pressing down, it went up. Sure, what that was all about.
Bottom right, isn't it? Yeah.
So you've got to sort of just walk to the right. It's one of these games where you go to the right, just go to the right, and take the kid to the end of that level. And then when you get to the next level, you've got another one to do, and the same. So you're kind of being followed by these things, and you get attacked by the sprites. Some of the graphics and the mainstay of the game are okay. You're not. This is $1.99's worth of graphics here, so it's not going to set everything alight, but it's all right. But some of the enemy sprites, on the other hand, I just don't think they bothered with them. They're like, we need enemy sprites. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. So you end up with this weird concoction of Christ knows what coming at you. You're like, yes. You look like a kind of thing, you're like a person thing, and you've got a little child thing following you around. Those things in the background are kind of a coherent, logical space to be in, those things. So, when you're running through home base, or go to home base or out of home base, something to do with home base, you encountering these crazy things. It's just really weird. This whole thing's a bit weird. It said in the Zapped review, beware the faded disc jockey that kills on contact. I don't know what they mean by that, and I never came across that, but I'm guessing with the obscurity of some of these graphics, that's what they interpret as one of them, and that didn't happen probably. To me, I have to say. So once you get through to the other side, it's just the same thing. Go left, right, make sure you don't die, shoot things. You're probably not going to get there very easily because it's quite hard to do. But it's $1.99. Graphics are okay, very repetitive. You're going to get bored of it. But is it going to last 2 hours for that Sunday afternoon treat? I don't know that I'd call it a treat. And I don't think it needed this weird, stupid game world that they placed it in. It's a fairly simple left to right thing, isn't it? It's kind of a shooter with not much to do. Bit boring. I lost interest pretty quickly in it, I have to say. $1.99, maybe pass an afternoon for somebody back then, but there's better $1.99 games for a start for this. It got 59%. I think it's probably a bit generous, really, but that's what I thought. And that's for the sound. Some of the sounds are... there's parts of this game that are all right, but mostly it's just really weird and boring and not very interesting. What about you?
Yeah. Well, just to finish off the plot, by the way, written on the back of the box, but it posts this in the agenda. It says in home-based terror, the next part of the back of the box says, mankind's only hope was to send you. Like a fool, you volunteered. But then what was left after what the Sharks did in Canada?
It explains a great deal about this game.
That's what it says. That's literally what it says on the back of the box. What did the Sharks do in Canada?
I think someone got distracted when they were writing that.
Is this right for the back of the box? Yeah. It's fine. Just do it. Just run it.
Yeah. Just get it out there. We need the money.
Sharks, Canada. At least we now know what our wonder will be for this episode. At the end of our blurb.
Yes.
What did the Sharks do in Canada? Anyway, it's another weird and wonderful budget release from Powerhouse. Sees us escorting toddlers across a single level that's been beset by, as you've rightly pointed out, an odd assortment of enemy sprites. And there's not much else to this one. You run whilst holding top right and you keep shooting. Every now and again, you must make the baby jump over land-based enemies by pushing bottom right. Seems weird. And just hope you make it to the end of the level. There are 8 toddlers to rescue, and your energy is measured by your ego, as you said. I want what they were smoking when this game was formulated.
Well, I think we know what they were smoking.
There must have been on something, because I just don't get it. The visuals are okay, a bit chunky and murky. The title screen's music is not that great. It seems to be dug out in 1985 somewhere, I thought. It was kind of one of the sort of a bit of a throwback in the music stakes. The game has an ending, though, if you get all 8 toddlers to the end, and you can see them blast off in a rocket. So that's something, I guess. Yeah, it's not terrible, there's just not much to it, as you've said, and it gets old really quickly. 50, it's in the 50s. It's around there. 59 maybe.
Just go to an actual home base.
and face the terror and wonder what the Sharks did.
Go to a home base and just go to the end of an aisle and just walk to the right constantly and try and get and not avoid anyone in the way until you can get to the end.
And also, as well, if you've got a child with you, just lob them up into the air every now and again. And that's kind of this game. Someone, though, on Lemon64 noted that this takes 22 minutes to load on tape, as it has no turbo loader.
Wow. My gosh, that's a long time.
Could you imagine that? So when you're saying, would this pass a Sunday afternoon? Yeah. Yes, it would. Waiting for it to load.
Very slowly. You would think it would be broken at that.
You would, yeah. I mean, that would take a lot of tape up. Surely it's cheaper to write a tape, a loader. Anyway,
it would be cheaper to get an expert cartridge and freeze it.
We've seen where that madness lies.
True.
We've seen what happens with that, so let's not say no to that. It's average. It's all right. It's
£2.
Yeah, it's a £2 run to the writer while throwing a baby in the air, while avoiding weird DJs and wondering about the Sharks.
Mm.
And then just throw the baby in the air, man.
Yeah, I think there's a significant amount of weed was consumed. Because when you're saying to someone, I mean, it's after the Great Battle of Fang, they were completely foobarred.
Yeah, there's not a lot more, is there? There you go.
Told you before, the Battle of Fang was between the Battle of Xinjiang and the Battle of Wahee. God's sake, get it right.
Get it right. Or I have to bring up the Sharks again. Anyway, Land of Neverwhere. This is what it is. Let's move on. To our next one. This is an arcade conversion. This is Athena. So this is from SNK Corporation, or at least the arcade version was. Whilst the C64 port of the game comes from Imagine, and it's got Alan Short on coding, Simon Butler on visual duties, and Martin Galway on sound. Alan Short had previously done Yeah Kung Fu 2 and Mario Brothers. While Simon Butler had previously done Pedro, Shadowfire, okay, Nomad, Mag Max, Legend of Cage, Highlander, Breakthrough, and it's a knockout. So set your quality level to the appropriate level. Princess Athena has been mysteriously transported to the strange and hostile world that is run by the evil Dark Overlord. He wants Athena to engage in a battle with all his minions. So angered, Athena sets out to destroy everything in her path by battling with his minions. So doing what he wants.
Yeah.
Someone didn't think this plot through.
No, they did not.
Anyway, the plan is to battle through them all and then beat up the Dark Overlord himself at the end and get back home. So one of the things that this game was very eager to set up was Athena as this very sexualized Amazonian warrior. Don't know if you remember the advert from Bob Wakelin.
Yeah, I do remember the advert.
It showed her in very little, very, very little, battling a Minotaur, and the loading screen has I would say an even less, with a sword and shield in hand. All very empowering, I guess, and yes, could see a woman in a kick-ass lead role, but give her some clothes. For God's sake, just get cold. Give her some clothes. However, all that imagery is not really represented in the game to any degree. But we'll get to that in a bit, I guess. So once the game loads, we have a very bare-bones title screen with a couple of the Athena sprites, one with and one without a helmet, which you can pick up in the game. Basically on either side of the word Athena, which is just the word Athena in character. It's just written, like no particular thing given to that. And below the credits, and press fire to play. So off you go. The title screen music by Galway. It's not very good, is it? I thought it was a bit of a phoned-in version of Part of Parallax after the slightly Terra Cresta style opening. That's what I thought. And it only goes on for about 2 minutes before it loops back. Like, it's been going to the Dave Whitaker School of Music. So after starting the game, you just drop down from the sky to the world below. Literally, you just appear in the sky on the first screen and drop to the floor. So what this does, it completely omits the cutscene from the arcade. Because in the arcade, the princess is kind of walking along in a palace, and she finds this window. It's like this mysterious window, and she opens it, climbs in, and falls down this huge, like a really long chute to the world below, and that's where the Dark Overlord has got her. In this, no, you just drop from the sky. It's like, okay. The other thing you'll notice at this point is the sprites and the background and how they are a complete and utter mismatch. Sorry. So so I said that about that over sexualization of her in the adverts and that title screen. And the actual arcade game, she's quite a cute little princess. It's a little princessy sprite, kind of like Mario style. That kind of mid 1986 style of character. It is what it is, chunky and looks cool and everything like that. I don't know why they went for this. I don't know why. I don't know why they went for this kind of over sexualized drawings like they did anyway. But here, the backgrounds, they're fairly chunky, but they're okay. They're colourful. Just trees, essentially. And there's some silhouettes of the woods behind them. And it works quite well. They're quite nice. They're actually quite similar to the arcade. They're quite decent. The sprites, though, I don't know why they've chosen this. That for some reason, they're single colour. They're just white. All of them are just white. And Athena has gone from looking like an Amazon, obviously, which is, all this marketing, to basically, she looks like a schoolgirl in this, complete with a little flick of hair at the front. And I thought, I just thought it looked terrible. And that's before we come to the monsters themselves. So the monsters themselves, they're a weird mix of creatures that amble back and forth. In the arcade, again, they're much more defined as like these kind of weird sort of creaturey type things. But here they're pig type things, the lizard men, and things in between. And I think in order to try and render them properly, they've gone for this high-res look. But there's ways of doing that. We've seen better high-res sprites. Look at things like Heartland and things like that. The C64 and artists are quite capable of doing high-res overlays over multicolour sprites. It's not something that's not been seen before. So I don't know why they've gone for this look here. There's also really large things, round things that trundle about, and I couldn't work out what they are. And those small ghost type things, a lot that beetle about the floor as well. It's all just white. There's no variation, no different colours, just white. It's a strange choice they've gone for this, and I don't think it works at all. So anyway, you get past them, we get past the visuals, we get to how does this game play. So, like that last one we just played, Land of Neverwhere, this is a walk to the right kind of thing. And I thought it owed a lot to Super Mario Brothers. In the fact the main thrust of the game is to destroy blocks either with a weapon, which you get from killing the creatures wandering about, or your helmet from underneath once you find it, so you can jump into them, like smashing blocks from underneath like Mario would do. You make your way to the right, avoiding or killing monsters, destroying blocks and picking up power-ups as you go in order to aid your quest. And here's the biggest problem. It controls, not only does it look bad, it controls terribly. At first, you've got no weapon, so you have to flail with your feet to hopefully kill one of the pig-type creatures and hope they drop a club, which they can then use to bash through the blocks that block your way. So you've got to kill, you're kind of trapped in this opening section before you kill something that drops a pickup. Now, they won't always drop it, so you might have to kill a few of them. So the problem is the collision detection and attacks are so bad. You'll be hammering on the fire button, they'll just walk through it. Half the time they'll just walk through you and damage you. So you've got an energy bar. So whilst the other half, they will be killed, but then another spawns almost instantly, and there's no guarantee they'll drop the weapon, and so you're just stuck trying to not get hit, which is almost impossible. So and that continues whether you're fighting with your feet, a club, hammer, anything, whatever you pick up. the collision detection quite often just doesn't work. It reminded me of that Shaolin's Road because we had the same issue in that game as well, in that the meat of the game, the attacking and killing the minions, is just fundamentally broken. So it's almost impossible to really progress as your health bar, which is in the minimalist UI at the top of the screen, which has basically got your health bar and I think an armor bar if you get some armor, and there's your score as well and the number of lives. So your health is just soon whittled down, and you just have to start all over again. And it doesn't feel enjoyable. I saw Zapped were really quite good about this. They gave it 76% and kind of were like, oh, you've got to be in on the joke. It's a bit of a joke. It's a bit funny, this game. It's a bit weird and wacky and wonderful. But yeah, but it plays like crap. I never saw Athena in the arcade. Never came across this in the arcade at all. So I had, so I went and had a look at it, and it just looks like one of those, it came out in 1987 or 86. It just looks like one of those so-so 1987 arcade games that you'd probably stick a few 10 pences in, but it wasn't as good as, it looked like I'd rather play Rygar, which is along those kind of lines. So run to the right and do something. Rygar was more interesting, games like that. But this conversion is just another one that, unfortunately, is just broken at the core. The actual fundamental game, you can't kick stuff. The levels are well designed and are a faithful representation of the arcade. And the background graphics are the best thing about this. All in all, those levels look like the arcade levels. So they've done a really, really good job of those background graphics. But whereas in the arcade, hitting the creatures also, so in the arcade, if you hit the creatures like we saw in Shaolin's Road, it knocks them back. So it pushes them back. They get hit and they get knocked back. So here it does nothing. They just carry on walking or they die. There's no feedback, again, to whether you were successful or not. Like I said, Zapped seemed to think it's something a bit funny. It's just not. It's a poor conversion where the fundamental mechanics are broken. So this game felt painful to play. This was another one in the Legend of Cage et al. Pile for me. God knows how this got 76%. I thought this was, a really poor conversion, and I didn't enjoy it at all. What about you? Am I being too harsh or
no,
or not?
No. I mean, I'd never come across the arcade really. I went and had a look like you on YouTube. I generally like SNK arcades. I like their pixel style.
Exactly.
It's a style, and they get really good at it as well. And there's some amazing stuff in there.
They do Metal Slug?
Metal Slug and all that, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you know that these guys can pixel paint, and so it is that of that genus. The C64 version could have been, but I think there's somewhere they made a decision to just make the main sprites, like say, pure white and kind of high res, and it didn't work. So the game just feels really tonally weird from that moment. From the moment it starts with that really odd music, like it's like, what is this strange gameplay where I found myself just wandering around because I didn't get a club straight away. So I'm just kind of thinking, what am I doing? I just kind of got stuck. And then there's the graphics on top of that where you look like you're kind of playing ghosts, really.
Yes.
So it all feels a bit weird. It looks nothing like the SNK arcade, really, that's for sure. The backgrounds maybe, like you say, but everything else, absolutely no way. And it doesn't play like that either from what I saw. I hadn't played the arcade, I only watched the YouTube, but it didn't look like you were going to get any kind of equitable experience, really. Backdrops, maybe okay. But, if that's the best you could say about this game, is that the backgrounds are okay. What about everything else?
Yeah.
I think they just made some really calamitous choices in this. My sixth sense is telling me that somewhere this game was unfinished, rushed out, something went wrong somewhere. Because there's some talent behind this that have done better. So I'm not quite sure. Maybe they haven't. Maybe this is just another nail in their crappy coffin. I don't know. But I didn't really like this. Zapp's review seems to indicate that, if you persevere with this, you get the best out of it, like you said. And it's hilarious. I'm like, I don't know what they were playing, but it certainly wasn't the game I played. So I don't think it's worth the pain of anything. I just found this enjoyable to look at and to listen to. And for me, that was a blocker right from the get-go. For full price, no, thank you. No, I don't know how this got the review it got. It's easily in the 30s to me, maybe less. No good.
Yeah, it's another one of those poor arcade conversions. Another one for our award that we'll have at the end of the year.
It is, yeah. It's going to be in there. And I'm a big fan I'm an advocate of the SNK type pixel art. I've got the big book of all their pixel the Metal Slug, amazing Metal Slug book. With all of their graphics in it. It's a book I enjoy looking at because I love that artwork style. I love it. And when I looked at the arcade, I'm like, wow. Now, even though it's early, you can see where it goes and what style that's going to lead to. Not in the C64 version with its ghostly, spooky white schoolgirl sprite. And by the way, an interesting aside is that the cover, the famous Bob Wakelin art cover, the inspiration for that drawing is from a female bodybuilder image. It's a female bodybuilder called Lisa Lyon. And there's a famous picture of her stood in the exact same pose. I posted the link in the show notes, but we'll post it on the show notes for us, but I've posted it in our sort of shared notes. But you'll see, it's not just an inspiration. He's basically drawn that one.
Oh, yeah, because I see, yeah.
So that's Lisa Lyon for you. So there you go, just as an interesting little footnote. Anything else for this game? Pantaloons!
Well, lack of pantaloons in those adverts.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's no pantaloons.
No pantaloon. None. Yeah, Athena. There we go. Let's move along. We've got one more left for this section, and then we're done and into the music. So let's move in quickly. And Graham, we've got a mathematical. We're going to go all mathematical on this one, and you're going to tell us or explain to us exactly what pi r squared is all about.
So pi r squared is a puzzle game programmed by Dave Healy, graphics by Lee Corley, music by Jazz Seabrook, and they might have done other stuff. I didn't think to look. Really, I don't know why I didn't, but I just didn't. Anyway,
because you're a lazy man.
Because I was too busy in this game. So the object of the game is to travel around the cogs of your mind, the cogs and wheels of your own minds, and collect formulae, which are all held in kind of these circular things. I'll sort of explain it a bit better in a minute. But the idea of the game is that you've got to collect all the geometric formulae for your Professor Brain Storm, or Professor Brian Storm, actually. Before each level, the required formula is displayed for a little time, and then you get into the game where your memory components, which are spinning cogs or spinning wheels cogs, you are sort of positioned on one of those, and you can navigate your way around the spinning cogs by controlling sort of as you go around the cog. You can then join the next cog, and you can sort of navigate them by where they join. So as the two cogs are joined in the middle, you can sort of flip to the side, and obviously some of them are spinning around to the right clockwise, some of them are spinning anti-clockwise, and the idea is that in the middle of all of these cogs or wheels, there's the component parts of the formula that you were shown before the level starts. Then the idea is that you've got to navigate around, spin around an entire 360 around each of the parts in order, in sequence, to sort of collect them, so that once you've collected that formula, you get to the next stage, go deeper into your own mind, and then you've got to collect an even more complicated formula, which again, you're shown at the beginning. And then after that, it's back into the cogs and wheels of your mind, and you've got to navigate across the cogs and wheels of your mind. There are alternative thoughts, your thoughts in there, that will hamper you and get in your way and slow you down. So you can also speed yourself up and slow yourself down in the wheels as well by utilizing the joystick. And I can't remember if it was fire button to speed up or up down. I can't remember the controls off the top of my head now for some reason. But you can control this speed because some of the things that are under the baddies, I suppose we want to call them, they're actually spinning on some of these cogs themselves. And you've got to sort of avoid them. But sometimes you've got to go on a cog that has a bit of the formula on it. So you've got to sort of navigate your way around and time. It's all about timing and getting around and doing those things. There's also other objects that are in the middle of the cogs that you can spin around to help you. So there's a calculator which you can collect, which will increase your speed. There's a book which increases your IQ. There's a little hammer thing which stuns some of your stray thoughts that might be in your way, and that allows you to sort of navigate it quicker. And there's a trash can which allows you to pick up some of the formulae out of sequence. If you get it out of sequence, I think you lose IQ points, or you slowly start to lose your IQ in this game. And if you lose too much IQ, well, it ain't going to end well. You become an imbecile. So you become really stupid. So that's kind of the game. It's a fairly logical puzzle game, which presentationally is quite nice. And it's the music and everything, it's not amazing, but it's quite a nice puzzle with a unique twist. I quite liked my time playing it. The graphics are okay, and the movement of those things is fine, and the way you spin around the things is fine. It's a little bit frustrating sometimes because it feels like there's needless things in your way, and to sort of push to go faster and to pull back to go slower, and I think sometimes the controls, you end up doing the wrong thing at the wrong moment, and suddenly you're speeding up at the wrong moment. You're like, oh, damn it, I need to go down there. And it just feels, I think there's a time limit on each of the things. I think you've got to do it within, I want to say 2 minutes, but I could have that confused with the game. But I think you've got to do it within a certain time limit as well. Mm-hmm. So you've got to get through cogs of your mind, do this, try and get the formula, which you've got to remember, by the way, because you're only shown it for a snippet of time before each level. Now, I quite liked what I played. I don't generally like these kind of puzzle games, and the graphics, as I say, were quite nice. You know, you get there's a nice feeling of kineticism in this game. Everything's moving as it should, and you got to, when you can sort of navigate around the map and see where you need to be. The UI and everything else, the display gameplay area is quite big, so you've got a lot of the game, and the gameplay of it is you inside of the game environment. So you're not looking at an alternative map, or you're not distracted. You're kind of doing what you've got to do. It is hard, but I think you can get better at it, and you can persevere with it as you start to figure out the puzzles. And so I'd say I quite like this. I think my two things that kind of would put me off, one is I don't know how much of that I could do for long periods of time. I mean, if you were going to get, because I got past the first level fairly quickly. The second level is much, much bigger. And so you've got a lot more cogs to spin around, and you are just spinning around, and maybe you miss that one, you get this one, you spin around this other one, you spin around this one. And if it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, I don't know how much of that you'd really want to do after, a while. It might feel a bit nauseating just to keep spinning left and right and spinning all over the place. So that's kind of thing. I mean, but there's people that would go for those kind of puzzle games. Okay, and with the graphics like this and the animation, it doesn't play that badly. And the music's a bit twee and shrill in places, but it's passable for what it is. It's all right. But the price is what perhaps got me a bit here. Because it's quite expensive for a kind of single tone puzzle game. Because it's $9.95 this, and I don't know if is it about the right price? I don't know. I felt maybe a bit uncomfortable with because normally games that have kind of a central, simple mechanic that they do a lot of is kind of budget fodder. That's kind of normally with a game like this, there'd be a couple more puzzle components or something else you have to do, as opposed to just keep doing the same thing over and over again with more complexity. So I don't know if it represents very good value for what it is, but Zapped seemed to rate it pretty highly. Got 84% in there. I don't know. I enjoyed playing it. I just don't know if I'd enjoy playing it for ages. But I thought it was all right. What about you?
I think I probably liked it more than you. I thought it was a really refreshing change after what we've been through recently. It's just, simple puzzle concepts, both fun, frustrating, and challenging, and something I'd never played before as well. So, a treat, really. And I've never heard of this, never came across it. Good stuff. I liked having to traverse the cogs. It's basically you move left and right in the direction. So if the cog is spinning clockwise, moving to the left will slow you down. Moving to the right will speed you up as you go around them. So you just got to kind of look at the cog and go, right, if I go onto that one, left and right, and they'll change. If it's anti-clockwise, it's the other way around. So basically the way you move is the way you'll go around the cog, speed up. So if you go against the grain, you'll slow down. That's how it works. Once you get that, and it just takes a little bit of sort of looking at the actual cog you're going to go onto.
I didn't have a problem playing it. I just don't know if I'd want to play it for ages.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I thought the visuals were really nice, smooth scrolling when it goes from section to section. I quite like the fact that you don't see it all and it doesn't follow you completely. You're kind of not quite sure what's going to come on soon. This is one of those ones where it scrolls where it gets to the edge, but works because I like the sort of not knowing in this place because of the notion of the puzzling as you're going along. I thought the visuals, I thought the cogs were really well animated and everything going around. It was cool. It's just, as you said, it's a case of navigating the play space. And this is where I thought the game had a solid blend of dexterity and planning as you try to avoid the enemies in order to keep your IQ level up. That second level, you're right, it does ramp up quite quickly. And it took me a few goes, but then I just stopped. Instead of trying to rush it, I took my time and just walked straight through it. So it's one of those where rushing won't get you far. You got to think. You got to sit back and take your time. Whenever music's a bit jaunty, as you noted, but I thought it was just a strange atmosphere to the whole thing. Really, trying to create formulas to get a professor's memory back. It's all very strange and odd, but it's one of those puzzle mechanic, set piece things, whatever it is. It's one of those rare games, I thought, that comes along once in a while and does something else other than blasting or racing and so on, and show, video games can be quite original when they try. Even it did remind me, and it's like a digital version of it. There was digital version of Downfall.
In a way.
There was elements of that, and so you're turning dials and stuff, and there was just an element of that. So I wondered if they looked at it, sort of saw that, and moving around, because you're moving from one to the next by when they sort of wrote meet up. The one thing I would have liked to see, I think you're right. I think longevity maybe because it can get quite frustrating. So with that in mind, I would have liked to see some kind of level select or level skip, as having to do the early levels every time gets a bit annoying after a while. Once you know them, just having to go through them, to get to the level that you're stuck on, it's always a pain in these kind of things. And I would have liked, just let me go at least, skip 5. So
or
10,
maybe like a red LED logic where you have like a grid of a map that you can choose. Just something like that might be something like that.
We didn't have to do sequentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You could just just get me a point, something where give me a password to go to level 6, because if I get there, like great, I've got there. It gives me a gold. You don't have to do it trying to get through all this in one life would be annoying. But I really like this. I think, is it a 10? Maybe. I think you'd be going at this for quite some time if you really got into it. And I think it's got 84%. Yeah, for me, this would have been something I would have banged my head at for quite a while, I think. I was playing this for a good chunk of time because trying to sort of work my way through it. I got quite far, but once I died, I was like, I've got to go through all those levels again. And that's the kill. I don't know, obviously on an emulator, I can just freeze, pause it and save state it and stuff and save scum it or whatever. But back then, it would have annoyed me, I think. But I'd still tried to get quite far into it and learn how to blast through those early levels quite quickly. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. Unusual, didn't know anything about it. Impressed. First game, I think, from this lot by the looks of it. Although I think the musician and the artist guy worked on Raster Scan as well.
Okay.
Which we looked at, which was that weird, Bitmap, Pickford Brothers one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think they worked on that. There we go. Pi R squared. Good way to end, I thought. Interesting way to end. Different way to end.
Yeah, bit different.
Yeah, bit different. Here we go. That's all our games for this section. It's not been too bad. Some weird, good bookend.
Got IK Plus in there, so...
Got IK Plus, Pi R squared, yeah. Land of Neverwhere was okay. Just a couple of stinkers, maybe. Better than some months. Right, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to get into music. Because I've always wanted to, Graham. I've always wanted to get into music, and now's the time. Now is the time. For whatever it is. So now is the time. We'll be back for music for November 1987. So see you in a bit.
Massive Sunday roast dinners and Yorkshire puddings to our wonderful show sponsor, davidhearnwriter.com, where you will find a whole load of brilliant audiobooks, bargain books, ebooks, and more. David's latest amazing book, Escape from the Commodore 64, is available right now. In fact, let's go and have a sneaky listen. It would be rude not to.
How are you enjoying the metaverse? The what? Asked Sarah, stepping back. Never mind. It's a term from the future, and no one there's exactly sure what it means either. The gnome said with a chuckle. I'm a time traveller, see? Would you believe a couple of plumbers and a swift hedgehog reached the bread bin in decades to come? Sarah stared at him blankly. Can you help me get out of here? He nodded at the computer. That's your only way out. She felt heat creep up her cheeks. No, thank you, she said. In fact, I think I'll be going. Sarah opened the door to the next room, only to see 3 karate fighters engaged in combat before a gate and a beautiful sunset. She narrowed her eyes, taking in a cherry blossom tree, as the faint scent of lilac and rose wafted into the room. The 3 of them performed backflips before stopping and setting their eyes on her. Then their pants fell down. Thankfully, they were wearing virtual underwear.
Now that is a spicy meatball. Escape from the Commodore 64 is available right now. Don't listen to me yakking. Head to davidhearnwriter.com to find out more.
And we're back. And we're into music in November 1987, as promised. So let's get straight in. Number 1 singles for the first week, You Win Again by the Bee Gees. Ha-ha! They won again.
They win again. They always win. They
always win. They cheat.
Yes.
I think, there's something badly wrong there, but they always win. So it's not like much. We said enough about them, haven't we?
Yes, we don't need to say any more about the Brothers Gibb.
No, you bring nothing but corned beef. For the last 4 weeks, this is a 5-week month. It is your favourite, Graham, China in Your Hand by Tapao.
Good production on that, actually. Really
Great
good production on that
Massive.
track. 80s production is amazing, though. A lot of the mid to late 80s production in studio production in terms of the just pre-massive digital studios and stuff, all the analog and the amazing mixing desks of the time, they produced such amazing production, and the producers have amazing powers over what they do as well. They're just incredible. But don't like the song, but I like the production.
Well, fair enough. Luckily, I like the song, so there you go.
No, I like the song.
Number 1 albums. I'm not sure if you like these, Graham. It's Tango in the Night for 1 week by Fleetwood Mac.
Never been a fan. Never been a fan?
I never knew that.
No.
Never. Okay. Only 1 week, though, because in at number 1 the following week was Faith by George Michael.
It's back.
And I
that's
am
his first.
a murderer.
That's this Bill Deckard, and I'm a murderer. That's by the way, that's his.
Oh.
I didn't realise it, but that's actually the first George Michael solo studio album.
Yeah. Yes. After the demise of Wham.
Yeah, that's it. Good album, that.
Yes, it's okay. I mean, I'm not a fan, but it's okay. Yeah. Then for 1 week was Bridge of Spies by Tapao.
There it is. Whole album.
Of China in Your Hand.
Very well produced.
And Heart and Soul. There's very little else on that. I remember listening to it and going, no.
No, there isn't.
Next week, Whenever You Need Somebody by Rick Astley.
Rick Astley.
He's gone
No.
from family. He's gone from family favourite to just annoying at this point, hasn't he?
Well, that's because they were taking him in the studio and just milking him, and this
Literally.
music came out. He was milked to
literally.
drive his music, which is gross.
He became Rick Ghastly. Milk Ghastly.
Ew.
Yeah.
God's sake, no.
For the final week, and probably for the next, as you've written, forever. Now that's what I call music 10.
There it is.
And it will
say hello to it now, because it's just going to be hanging around like a fart in a lift for the next 6 months now.
Because it's Christmas time. There's no need to be afraid.
Up, yeah.
But this is going to stick like a plaster stuck with very sticky stuff.
Like a pair of Tiberian bats.
Are they known for their stickiness?
Well, see what he says in Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country, because I know that those boots are going to stick with those like a pair of Tiberian bats. So I'm guessing that they're sticky. Hey, Spock who said it, so go for it. It probably was.
Probably was. Right, let's get into singles. 1st of November. And number 12 was Barcelona by Freddie Mercury and Montserrat Caballé.
Yes. The biggest hit of his solo career, that.
Was it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It was everywhere for a while. I want it. It was bloody everywhere.
I mean, he was Freddie Mercury was a massive opera fan, wasn't he? And if that hadn't occurred to you if you've listened to Night at the Opera by Queen, and listened to Bohemian Rhapsody, that
was he also a horse racing fan because they did Day at the Races and stuff. I thought they were just. I thought their albums were just named after posh events.
They might have been, but he was known for being a bit of an opera fan. That's why, the Scaramouche, and can you do the fandango and all that?
Oh, yeah, that makes a bit more sense.
Yeah, he wasn't just asking questions about people's dancing ability.
Can you do the fandango? No, Freddie. You keep asking me. The answer is still no.
I can't do it. Told you, no.
Absolutely not. Oh, he was a persistent bugger.
He was.
Number 15, Never Can Say Goodbye. Wish they would. By the Communards.
Yeah, I think it's a cover that I think. I didn't do too much digging into it because I don't really like that song, but I'm pretty sure it's a cover of a 70s disco hit.
Yeah, probably. As you have written, there's lots of giddy bop dancing in that video.
It's the massive giddy bop.
Number 28, Paid in Full by Eric B. and Rakim.
Yeah, we spoke about that briefly before. I can't remember why. It's been included. I think either the album or there's some reason why we've come across this before, but I think it was a different track. I think it
was the album. Yeah,
it might have been, but obviously we said it before, massively influential. Don't believe me, go listen to the track that we'll put in the show notes. We've already put it in previous show notes, but you'll just hear a million samples.
Yeah, it was probably more influential than the next one. Or maybe it wasn't. Who knows? Because number 29 was Jack Mix 4 by Mirage.
Yeah. Did you listen to any of it?
I did not. No.
It's good.
I've only got so
horrible.
many hours in the day.
Well, it's all of the things that you can imagine. I mean, I'm not going to read out the full writing credits for that album, song album, single. What is it, single? But you've got Matt, because it's basically sampling a little bit of all those people's tracks. So you've got Matt Aitken, Arthur Baker, Bernard Edwards from, he's the bass player from Chic, Martin Young, Stephen Young, James Brown. I don't know who some of these are. Sharon Chestnut was there. Good old Sharon Chestnut. Giorgio Spagna.
I know. Ivana Spagna's there as well.
Yeah, Lonnie Simmons, Sybil, US1. I don't know if that's the surname or she's an android maybe that got involved in the production somewhere. Larry Pignagoli, Nile Rodgers, of course, is in there, like you say. Mike Stock. Look who's in there. Matt Aitken, Mike Stock, Pete Waterman. Hey up.
Yeah, hey up.
Hiding amongst the names, Rudy Taylor, Farley Williams, Charlie Wilson, US2 is the second version, I guess. And
the second version. This Skynet 1, isn't he?
Exactly. And then there's Robert William US. I'm guessing there's Robert William UK, Robert Wilson GB. I don't know. Anyway, all those people have got their basically bits of their tracks ripped off into this sample heavy remix track of all the crappy dance tracks that you won't like and remember bastardized into this nightmare. So no.
I'm just worried that there are multiple Spaniards out there.
Yes. Well, yes.
Giorgio, Ivana Spania. I want a Spania.
Who's got the Spania? I've had a Spania. You want a Spania? We all want a Spania. Viva España! Hey!
Spania for every day. One for Sunday best. Multiple Spaniards. The Spanier
family. In the works. Surely that's the album she needed to make. Come on, a Spanier in the works. I don't even work in marketing. Come on, people. Pull your socks up, 80s. A Spanier in the works.
You'll find when we get to our album, it's called A Spanier in the Works. Somebody's gone back and either that or someone will have changed Wikipedia. We'll not
Yeah, someone's
noticed.
gone back and he's right. We should have called it that. Get the
Change
DeLorean. We don't have a DeLorean. Oh, what?
Get me Spanier. Ivana Spanier. You want Ivana Spanier? No, I want a Spanier.
We all want a Spanier, mate. What are you talking about?
Giorgio
Goodness
Spanier.
me.
No, not him.
Not that Spanier. One of the other Spaniards. Oh, dear me. 50 mil Spaniard, 30 mil Spaniard. What do you want? Socket Spaniard? What do you want?
Don't know. We need one to fix US 1.
It's gone
It's
badly
gone
wrong.
It's gone horribly wrong. Bring out US 2. Call it Charlie Wilson.
Wilson bot.
Yeah. The Wilson. There's 3 Wilsons.
There is.
Ronnie, Robert, and Charlie.
That's it.
Anyway. Number 36. Darklands by the Jesus and Mary Chain.
Mm.
The
Did you
third
listen to
single
it?
from the Darklands album. I did listen to it, and you're right.
Yeah.
This is a song waiting for a coming-of-age teen movie.
It's just a bit. Third single from the Darklands album.
Yes. This one made me go, ew. The title, number 40, this is Marillion with Warm Wet Circles. Like a song about getting old.
The dirty tramp of rock is back. And he's in full tramp mode as well. We'll put the video in the show notes I found for that.
He's got a nice flaming suit though. That flaming suit. But in Start Counterpoint, the guitarist is the smartest man in rock this side of Brian Ferry.
He is a bit, isn't he? Yeah, he's like it's like looking at an opposite.
But I did think though that once you get enough money, and obviously Fish has made a lot of money from Marillion, you just get what you want. So somewhere on Savile Row, he's walked in and he's gone, make me a suit with flames on.
Yeah, he will have done.
So
yeah.
some suit maker
tailor.
who's crafted his trade, a cutter who's crafted his trade over many years, has had to make a flame suit.
Yeah, some tailor was like, oh. I bet he looked at that every day and he's like, I've got to finish it. Got to finish that. And the phone's ringing and it's like, he's on, Fish is, hello? No, I haven't finished it yet, Fish. No, I find it really, it's killing me doing it. I hate it.
It is.
No,
Can't get the
I spent
flames
10
just as
years,
you want them.
10 years at Tailor School, Tailoridge, learning how to stitch and sew and do double stitch because it's the strong one. And you want me to make that? I hate myself.
Exactly. But anyway, yes, as you've quite rightly written, usual Marillion twee folk style fiddly diddly.
Yeah. Too many lyrics, and nothing
many
memorable.
Nothing. I didn't pick any of them up. I was hypnotized by his suit.
It's ironic that one of their most popular songs starts with a lyric, do you remember? And I actually don't remember anything else other than that song. So
No. Number 60 was We'll Be Together by Sting.
what is that shit? What happened? There's no
don't know.
place in this world, and especially in musical videos, for the jumper that he wears in that.
It's
Whatever
not.
dignity he had left is gone at that point. As soon as I saw him in that jumper, I'm like, what are you doing? And that haircut, that flippy floppy haircut. Who are you, Sting? What happened?
It's a bad period. He's gone in a bad period.
You're not kidding. The knitted jumper phase. Oh, goodness me, God help him. Someone help him.
String it together. Number 83, All Across the Nation featuring Gary Newman by Radio Heart featuring Gary Newman. There's too much Gary Newman in there.
I think Gary Newman might be featured on that, I think.
I did. Did you read much about this? It's quite
We'd mentioned this before. For some reason, we'd come across this before.
we
I don't know
have.
why,
This is their third single, but I don't know if we fully mentioned the album and everything that would come from it.
Yeah, I think we did. I don't know why, but
Did
yeah,
we?
But
I don't remember the story because Radio Heart was formed by the brothers Hugh and David Nicholson, and they got Gary Newman in to sort of record 3 tracks with him, and that was the 3 singles they released. They then asked him to do a full album, and he went, well, send me the stuff and I'll have a listen. So they sent him the stuff and he went, nah, I'm not doing anything else on that. So
That's fair enough.
Hugh Nicholson did the vocals on the rest of the tracks for the album. They managed to get Elton John in for a couple of the tracks as well. And then finally, when the album was released, they made a very big deal on the front cover of the album that Gary Newman and Elton John were heavily involved, which led to the album being removed from sale due to both of the artists going, take that down.
we had nothing to do with that, you bloody liars.
So that was the story of all, Radio Heart. I thought it was quite amusing.
Interesting.
There you go. Number 97. I'm amazed this went in so low. Letter from America by the Proclaimers.
Why were you amazed? It's horrible.
Because it gets so high, doesn't it? It's very popular. So I'm amazed when I see all these big singles start really low down, how they sort of climb.
I hate that song. Shouty
No,
guff.
I I don't particularly like it, but I know that the Proclaimers, Walk 500 Miles, Letter from America, they were huge, massive singles. So there you go.
Maybe.
I'm not saying they're any good. Don't hold that against me.
You're just proclaiming. You're doing exactly what they constructed and told you to do. And they're shoutiness. Bloody shoutiness.
I did walk a lot today. Maybe not 500 miles, though. 8th of November, and at number 20, was So Emotional by Whitney Houston.
Third single from her second studio album, Whitney.
Yeah. She still sounds exclusively like Whitney, though.
Yeah, she does. She still... It's the curse of Whitney Houston is, can you sound like anyone else? Because we're just getting a bit tired of your voice.
Too much.
It's good and all, but it sounds just like Whitney Houston. Can you vary it a bit?
Too much energy.
Yeah. Good song. It's an amazing song. I mean, we laugh
love
and
the
mock.
Song. Yeah, absolutely.
My God, it's incredible vocal on that song.
Yeah. Number 29, I started something I couldn't finish.
So did I. That sentence.
If only. That's by the Smiths.
Yeah, no.
You've finished all your songs. That's the problem.
Yes.
Number 49, Backseat Education, the Zodiac Mind Warp.
It's dated badly. That I looked at the video.
Very
and
badly.
the song. Yeah,
Did you watch the video?
No. Yes, let's put the link in the thing. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, and I watched it as well. It's like over 2 minutes before the song starts.
Yeah,
it's only a 5-minute video.
And it also, for some reason, I started getting real flashbacks to the beginning of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom at the beginning of that video.
Yeah.
I was like, what's going on here? It's really weird. So expecting what's her name to come out and start singing Anything Goes.
Oh, Kate Capshaw.
Yeah, and this is the antidote to the poison you have drank.
Wow, that's a really good impression.
Do you know, I'm impressed myself with that.
For a moment there, I thought he was in the room with us. For a moment there, I thought I'd actually drank some poison. Ooh, I got quite bothered.
I've gone all sweaty and hot.
Absolutely. And I need to run behind a gong. Number 62. Funny how time flies. Janet Jackson.
Yeah, it's weird. This was released in the US for airplay only. Wasn't released there, so it wasn't allowed to chart. I don't know. There's no reason that was given in any of the research I did. That's just what they released in the US. It was because it's the 7th track off the album, I think, 7th single release.
But they're just not allowed. It's just some like arcane law written into the Constitution.
Thou shalt not release a 7th single. It can't be. Michael Jackson must release 9 off one album. I don't know. That's one of the quirks I spotted was that it was only released for airplay in the US.
Oh, weird, isn't it? Weird. That is very strange.
Odd little song.
I've not heard it. So number 72 is I Say Nothing by Voice of the Beehive.
I quite like Voice of the Beehive in their own quirky way.
You would do because they're in the. I put them in the same ball group as B-52s.
Yeah, they're in that kind of that Californian sounding vocalist sisters, aren't they? Tracy Bryan and Melissa Brooke Belland. Sorry, Belland.
Yeah, so don't misspell that.
No, don't just missay it. So, hello, welcome to London, Miss Belland. That's Belland. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's just sorry.
Belland what? Belland Sebastian?
I remember them for their bigger hits, Don't Call Me Baby, which I really like, because that's a great song, that is.
Yes,
but this is a good song as well. But they sound like Voice of the Beehive, and as you say, they're up the B-52s kind of avenue, aren't they? So I quite like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Number 79 is Solitude Standing by Suzanne Vega. I know you've heard this. I really, really like this song.
No, I don't dislike the song. She's got a lovely voice. It's just, I don't think it's one of the great Suzanne Vega
different.
tracks.
It's the opening track to her second album, and it's kind of a different feel to what had gone before with her first album. And it's much more punctuated. What I really like about this is the delivery. The vocal delivery is kind of quite statico, and a bit more and a bit more stronger and a bit more sort of strident. I don't know. There's an sort of strength in the vocals and the way they're delivered in it. So I really like it.
If only the single buying public could agreed with you, because that single got buried.
Yeah. Well, yes.
But like you say, she's got such a nice voice. You could pretty much listen to her read a bloody receipt, and you'd be kind of intrigued by it. So
yes, you would. Number 92.
Sourdough, £2 from Co-op. Thanks, Suzanne. You didn't have to do that.
Prices have gone up. Everything's gone up. Let's face it.
Everything. £2 of sourdough. Ridiculous.
It's
easy to buy them. It's easier to buy them than make them. That's all I'm saying.
That is true, because you got to wait like 3 weeks, haven't you, and ferment it and everything.
Oh, you got to keep feeding the bloody starter thing. It's a pain in the ass.
It is. Anyway. We'll get to bread a bit later on. Number 92, Way Out by the Lars.
Now, what impressed me with this was that there was another Lars track. In fact, there's an album, apparently.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
because I'm pretty sure I'd only ever heard one.
Yeah, everybody knows There She Goes.
Everybody knows that track.
It's in every track, and it was made really popular by I Married an Axe Murderer.
Yeah, and then it was on every compilation album between here and Jupiter. Seemed to have that track on it somewhere at some point.
And it's also in Do you remember Britpop?
Yes.
But I was surprised they were going this early, because I just associate them with Britpop.
Yeah, and they're from Liverpool. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, I know they're from Liverpool. Yeah,
I never really understood where they came from. I just always understood them as the kind of a one hit and then disappear, but clearly not. Clearly, and this is a pretty good song as well. I have to say, I quite like that.
Intriguing. But again, this is another one. Like I said about Proclaimers, it's better, but same sort of thing. Number 100 is Blue Hotel by Chris Isaac.
Yeah. Good looking arsehole.
You're right.
I'm so emotional after watching Chris Isaac sing that song through his enormously good-looking face.
I thought you'd gone full on Ferry.
It's not fair that he's pretty much the same thing. It's not fair that he's that good-looking.
Well,
it's not fair.
Was he a male model? Was he a model?
Yeah, of course he was. Some people are just thunked out of their eggs. And they just come out that good looking and that talented, and you just end up rolling on a beach with supermodels. And you're like, well, that was, he's got my share again. Give me my share back. Don't take other people's shares. You've got your own, your own stuff.
Someone's got to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of Chris Isaac.
Not for everyone.
I associate Chris Isaac, and I don't know if this is the reason why, but I associate him with David Lynch movies. I don't know why that is, but I just do.
That's because he's in the opening section of Firewalk with Me.
Oh, he's probably right.
He's the FBI agent who goes takes Kiefer Sutherland to the trailer park to investigate the disappearance of the girl, the murder of that first girl.
But yeah, and obviously he's in Friends as well. He's an episode of Friends, isn't he, Chris Isaac? He just sort of appeared on the scene for a bit, didn't he? And was really good looking and talented, and so therefore he went a long way for a bit.
He did.
Stealing other people's shares.
Contrary to the lies in that advert, which I built my entire life on. I was rubbish, looked awful, couldn't play. I went nowhere. And my case against Kit Kat also went nowhere. The judge threw it out.
Well, did you look, because in that he does look like he's got really bad trap wind when he sings, Chris Isaac. I mean, his voice is, if you like him, you don't, but he's got that kind of look, it's like, it's not, he's got wind. Very emotional. So emotional, to quote Whitney Houston.
Some might say, a song like that. There's a song called that, but it sounds a bit like Whitney Houston.
Too emotional. It sounds too much like Chris Isaac. Yeah, too much Whitney. Don't sing like Whitney, Chris. Be your own singer. Stop stealing other people's looks and talent. He's a talent vampire, and there's more vampires in this as well.
There are.
He's a talent and looks vampire.
15th of November, To Be Reborn by Boy George is in at number 26.
It's not good, that.
No, it's really not.
No,
to be reboring.
It is. It's awful, and it's just I think what you're seeing there, because the only version I could find was looked like it'd been recorded through some kind of sieve. Just terrible. I mean, there's me saying how great the production was at this time, and there's something went wrong here. But I think it's partly because at this time I'm wondering how badly addicted to drugs he was, because he had a massive drug problem for a while, didn't he? And I guess
he did.
It was, this was the recorded at the pinnacle of that, so unfortunately for him, it didn't have the same effect as being completely smashed out of your mind did for Shane McGowan later, but no, it didn't quite work out for old Boy George, did it there? Not
really. Number 30 is Build by the House Martins.
I don't like the House Martins. I don't like the House Martins. I came to that because I listened to that and I was like, I don't like them anymore. I didn't really like them before, but I don't like them.
No, I don't like any offshoots of them either, like Beautiful South or anything.
The various different kinds of Martin. The door Martin, shed Martins were no good.
The window Martin, the roof Martin. The bungalow Martin.
Yeah, the garage Martins were just a kind of a low budget version. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Shack Martins. Didn't like them.
No, I don't like the Martins. I like people called Martin. I just don't like the House Martins. Just generally, I don't just like you because you're called Martin, which sounds weird. What's your name, Martin? Well, I'm going to like you because I do like a good Martin.
I do. Are you a good Martin or are you a bad Martin?
It sounds like a really weird version of Blade Runner, the Martin edition. Are you the good Martin?
Tell me, which kind of Martin are you?
I've seen things you Martins wouldn't believe.
House Martins singing in a pub a cappella.
Oh dear. Yes.
Martins.
Yes.
Number 45, There Ain't Nothing Like Shagging by the Tams.
Yeah. It's not what you think, is it, that?
No, I know the Shagging's a dance, just there you go.
Yeah. But it's kind of a sort of a song that's a bit like Motown-y, isn't it, that? The Tams are kind of that kind of outfit. So, but I think people bought it in the UK for the wrong reason. So.
Yeah. Number 58 is Satellite by the Hooters.
What did you make of that?
I remember, I forgot about this, and then I remembered it. I really, really like this song. I remember hearing it back then. I heard it, and I was like, what a great song.
Catchy enough song, yeah.
Yeah, but it is a cracking tune, this is. And so I was like, but I didn't know whether it was their version I remembered or whether there was a cover. So I went looking round, couldn't find it had been covered by anyone. So it must be this version that I remember. And I was like, no, this is what a catchy tune this was.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
all about televangelism, isn't it?
Yeah, the video is pretty good, actually. He is twitchy. Yeah. He's quite a twitchy fella.
Very,
but the video is... And it's a video theme that comes back, which Genesis blatantly rip off later down the line as well for their one of their songs, which is about that.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus He Knows Me. Yeah.
Jesus He Knows Me, yeah.
So, yeah.
Good link. Yeah, I didn't actually put that together. Yeah. Number 64, Turn Back the Clock by Johnny Hates Jazz. I didn't want to say their name. I didn't want to... because it might summon them.
Yeah, so you have to be careful how you say it. Don't say it 3 times in front of a mirror. It's like...
because your mirror just becomes bland.
It's like Candyman. It just comes and just haunts you forever with their blandness.
Blandy Man.
That's got to be the album. Let's turn back the clock and make the album called that, Blandy Man. Brilliant. I don't like Johnny Hates Jazz. I don't care that they even hate jazz. It just seems irrational. Don't hate on things.
Please don't turn back the clock. I said we should turn it back before they were formed and step in to stop all this nonsense. And we could,
the old Terminator method.
Absolutely,
method.
Yeah.
You have to go through naked, remember? I'm not sure that if I landed back when they formed fully naked, they're not going to be friendly to me. It's not going to end well for anyone.
Especially not with inside with glowing balls.
It might be why they're called Johnny Hates Jazz. Maybe that's why. Something happened. Yeah, I don't know.
Don't know. You just went back and jazzed at them. Your jazz hand. 22nd of November, number 23 is Once Upon a Long Ago by Paul McCartney.
Oh God,
I hate that name as well. Yeah, I hate that name. Well.
I hated this. Did you watch the video?
I was unfortunate enough to, yes.
Quantel Paintbox was brought out again, wasn't it, for its fancy effects?
Yes.
Just utterly forgettable. It's a middle of the road load of music bread.
Yeah, and I put, there was no need for this.
No, there isn't. You're exactly right. It's just music bread. It's bread music. Music it's bread. Look, it's not my bread, the group bread. They do some great stuff. This is music bread.
Was this actually for? Was that animation within the video made for it, or was it from?
Yeah, no, it's made for it. I think I tried to do a bit of digging, but there's only so much digging into Paul McCartney's backstory that I can handle before I just go, no, bread.
And also before the alarms go off at his house that someone's looking into his past, and they send the McCartney droids round.
Well, what happens is your computer that you're looking at it on, it just suddenly displays an image of a slice of bread, and it just locks your entire machine down, and that's it. You've just been breaded.
It's just a slow zoom into Ringo's eye.
Not that one.
The bad one.
Yeah, the Sauron one.
Once upon a long ago.
It's just crap. That song was crap. Horrible crap.
It was shit. Number 27, What Do You Want to Make Those Eyes at Me For by Shaking Stevens.
Jeez. Bloody written in 1916, this. 1916, come on.
Yep. But as I've noted, he was alive when it was written because he's ever living. Shaking Stevens, the ever living. Also, as well, this is the What Do You Want to Make Those Eyes at Me For? The missing song from the I Just Make Eyes part of Blade Runner.
Yeah, when he goes and sees the guy that makes eyes. What's his name? Eggy Eye Maker. I can't remember his name. Eggy McEye.
Eyeball.
I just do eyes. This is Shaking Stevens, or she've rightly called it Steve Ma or Steve Ra.
Steve Ra. Steve Ra, the ever-living. He-Man, what is behind the green door?
Ancient spirits are evil. Transform Shaking Stevens from this crippled form into Steve Ra. My voice doing that.
Good Lord. That would be good. Maybe watch He-Man anyway. Number 29, Who Found Who, featuring Elisa Fiorolo, which is Jellybean featuring Elisa Fiorolo. I don't know. Some woman.
My voice has gone off me. Yeah, I don't know. Shaking Stevens.
That's what happens when you try and summon the ever-living.
I know, he's entered. I was like, I can't speak. Out, Stevens, out. God, where's Merrin when you need him?
Merrin.
Merrin.
That's not going to do any good.
Anyway, no, I can't do it. No, did you watch the video for the Who Found Who thing?
I did not. No, it's one I skipped over.
If you watch it, it's like he's clearly found some kind of Madonna impersonator, and so it's like looking at a woman doing a kind of a bad Madonna impression. She's good, but it's not Madonna. But you can see that he obviously clearly missed working with Madonna. He's replaced it with a duplicate.
Elisa Fiorolo.
Yeah, but if you hear her sing, she sounds like Madonna singing as well.
Oh,
sort of
right,
that era Madonna. Yeah,
fair enough.
Goodness me, bloody sod off Shaking Stevens, you creep.
Get out of my throat.
Get out of my mind.
This old house. Do. Number 31, Hysteria by Def Leppard.
Good song, yeah. Good song, Hysteria.
Yeah, great ballad. Yeah, I've asked you. Does it suffer from the syndrome?
It does. One of the unfortunately, it does. Actually, the problem with this song is that it does meander. It does suffer from Def Leppard meanderisms.
Yeah,
because it's all their songs start really good. This one is particularly bad for others. Kind of have catchier bits than this one. This one just seems to go on for ages. Now, the only reason I know that with more sort of experience of it is because I had to learn this song for a band that I was in briefly, so I had to learn all the parts. You can't really learn the single part guitar part because there's about 90 different layered guitars in this, but it is quite boring. It's the duller song. It's still a good song, but it's just a bit dull, and it does have the meanderism in it. But there you go.
Meanderisms. Number 36, I Could Never Take the Place of Your Man.
It's a good Prince song, yeah. It's not one that everyone would remember. I quite like that kind of Prince song, the kind of poppy. Some of the less memorable ones are pretty good. It's pretty good. The video's okay, but it's just Prince almost by de facto numbers there. Good stuff, though.
Okay.
Good stuff.
I'll take your word for it. I've never been a fan, if you didn't know.
No, I didn't get that impression.
No. Number 43 is Love Letters by Alison Moyet. I think this is a charity record. It's either something like Children in Need or Red Nose Day or something.
Comic Relief or something like that,
Comic Relief, yeah. It's something like that, probably. Especially if it's got French and Saunders in the video.
It has, yeah. Just walking around in the video, just being silly and not very funny. But
yeah, I remember
didn't
that.
say that about them, but yeah.
I think they're just making Alison Moyet laugh a lot, aren't they? If I remember rightly.
Yeah, they are. Dawn French walks out in a really tall, pointy hat. Sorry, was that your side splitting I just heard? Well, I thought it might be, yeah.
Oh, my sides. Number 44. King Without a Crown by ABC.
King without a crown, land without a king. That's what it says in Excalibur, isn't it?
It says, yeah.
Well, it says king without a sword, but we'll go with it.
Yeah, that'll do. Sophisto pop. But I've noted I really didn't like the way he shouted at the start of every line.
Yeah,
did you notice
the ABC way? Yeah, he does.
Every line's like,
his attack he's got an attack problem, hasn't he? That's if you ever mix in sound and doing sound stuff, if you've got too much attack on something, that's exactly what happens. That's why drums often are gated because of that attack. He's got a vocal attack. Imagine if he's trying to order pizza or just a burger or something. He'd be like, God, just hang on a minute, you're too much.
Yeah, it's like he's constantly shouting at the guy behind the counter.
So you're like a king without a crown. Get out of here. Good title for an album. Good title for get out. You loud.
Kingdom without a king.
Okay. Yeah, it sounded like Spandau Ballet, though. The production sounded very Spandau Ballet-y.
Yes, it did.
So I suppose they're all of that ilk. They're all of that ire. They're all of that time.
They are. Number 64 is Every Time We Say Goodbye by Simply Red. This was awful, wasn't it?
I absolutely hate that record.
Yeah.
And I like the actual song. I hate his version of it because it's horrible.
Yes, it's particularly
squeaky, wobbling, stupid tones. I can't stand it, and his hair's ridiculous in that. Ridiculous.
Well, I put it looks like an upside down mop.
He does. He does look like his hair's just gone off, hasn't it? And just gone on a wild adventure to the right. So.
Yeah, bored of him. I'm off this way.
Yeah. Honestly,
this song is so boring. His hair went off on its own adventure.
Exactly. His hair hates him that much. He's trying to just leave him.
I've had enough.
So, and yeah, as we've said many times about old Mr. Hucknall, he was, the chicks seem to dig him, but I can't understand why. I to this day, it's some kind of mystery. He must have a spell or some kind of love potion.
His hair wants out.
Well, yeah, I think he must have some kind of love elixir that he sprays in the air before he goes in a room, and everyone just sort of soaks it in through their pores, and they can't help but fall in love with him.
It's not out of a bottle though; it's from his secret pores.
Yeah, he's got like a little, vent. We don't want to say where that is, but
It's like his own gills.
yeah, it's like a thin
his love
slit.
gills.
It's a thin slit where his pheromone just oozes out like a small paste, like a oozing paste.
Which he then just rubs around the rim of the glass.
Yeah, it's exactly. He secretes it from sort of. He's got several orifice where he can produce that from.
Secreted from what?
He chooses. He chooses that.
That's true. Ugh, horrible thought.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Number 72, "The One I Love" by R.E.M.
Yeah, it's one of the only tracks I don't hate it. I don't really like R.E.M., but I don't hate this track. I just remember this for dancing to it in Gulliver's, which is odd when I think about it, because I was a proper metalhead at that point. So I had long, straggly, horrible hair, about 20 stone, and a leather jacket. So I don't think people must have looked at me dancing to that and gone, "What is he doing? Does he know
Probably
what he's
me
doing?"
Or Malcolm, I would have thought. Our friend Malcolm back then would have dragged you on at that point.
Yeah. But I think just looking at it from if you imagine that scene where you've got, and then just take a camera and just zoom out and you think there was nobody else on the dance floor. Why would there be? Because there was, a giant maniac metalhead dancing to R.E.M. Don't go near that. Stay well away. And that's what happened.
Probably. Number 81, "When Will I Be Famous" by Bros.
Well, we know the answer, don't we?
15, 20 years, yeah.
Yeah, by 15, 20 years, you're going to be we worked it out mathematically. We proved it in tests.
We did, absolutely. You can't argue with
science now. Nope. Science tells us what we need to know.
Number 91, "I Found Someone" by Cher.
Did you watch the video for this?
Yeah. His hair, as you've written, his hair in the opening few seconds of this video is pure beef. Yeah. It's so solid. And I put, "Not even Cher can handle it," and walks off in jealous rage. I have noted, though, that it's worth, that outfit that she does wear for the majority of the song is other bits on stage.
Yes.
Jeez, Lord.
Sellotape is what it is, basically, isn't it? It's just sellotape.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, sellotape dress, yeah.
I can see this floor, but I mean, I like this sort of for what it is.
It's all right. It's all right.
It's a good rock song. Cher did some classic rock songs in the 80s.
Yeah, they're all on the same album as that as well. The album's full of those. I think it's the album that became quite the tracks and album that became quite famous at that time.
Yeah,
it's If I Can Turn Back Time is on there and a couple of others, I think.
Yeah, there you go. Last Monday, 29th November, number 16, "The Way You're Making Me Feel." You have to say it like that.
Yeah, the way you're making me feel. Yeah. Again, like I said before, I've got nothing against Michael Jackson at all. If you like that kind of thing, great. It just, by this point, I kind of tuned out of it.
All right.
But
I like
it's off bad, isn't it? It must be off bad, yeah. So
it's off bad, yes. It's another one off bad. Number 35, "I'm the Man" by Anthrax.
No, I don't like Anthrax. Never have. Oddly enough, you think I would like them, being the kind of into the kind of music I was into, but I really don't.
No, I didn't. I wouldn't. I don't think you would, because I lump Anthrax into Pantera and all that lot.
Yeah, just not my bag.
Not my bag either. Number 36, for a change of pace, "Somewhere Somebody" by 5 Star.
Yeah, bah.
Somewhere, somebody, someone is listening to a 5-star record because there's so bloody many of them.
Yeah, they're just everywhere. We said it before. We said it again. There's always a 5-star track somewhere.
Yeah, always. The new one is being released even as we speak.
Can't be stopped.
Number 39, "Rocking Around the Christmas Tree." Comic Relief. There we go. Presents Mel and Kim, performed by Kim Wilde and Mel Smith.
Yeah, awful.
Charity.
Awful. That's when I realised that I once had a real crush on Kim Wilde, not Mel Smith, but Kim Wilde.
I think everyone did it.
Yeah, and then she turned up in that video, and something had happened.
I have not watched the video.
She looked haggard and chubby and not quite right.
Oh,
maybe it was just Kim. She was tired. Maybe she always looked a bit tired. I was thinking maybe that's maybe been a bit mean, but she looked a bit knackered in that.
Maybe. Number 40, "Fairy Tale of New York." I mean, if we're talking about looks, then by Pogues featuring Kirsty MacColl, you've got Shane McGowan here. It's like Kirsty MacColl and Gollum.
It is. Do you know, there's miracles about this, There are miracles about that. He wrote that song. I bet you won't remember that he wrote it, but he wrote that song. Yeah. Or co-wrote it. So it's just incredible. At a certain point in his life, he was sentient enough to be able to write that. Because the rest of his life, he was completely smashed off his mind.
Probably. I mean, that's probably why he was able to write it. But it is the classic number one Christmas track, isn't it? It has become,
to this day. Yeah. And there's a couple of really good pumped up versions of that as well, which I'll put in the show notes. by I can't remember the name of the group. It'll come back to me. It's like a pop punk type version, if you like that kind of thing.
Cool.
But there's a good version of that. It's on. I found it on Spotify some time ago, which is quite interesting. I actually quite like that song, and it is a classic, and there's a sadness to it, isn't there? Because I really like Kirsty MacColl's vocals when she sang. I really quite liked her at the time, but she died in the year 2000 in a horrific boating accident where, even though she managed to save the life of her 15-year-old son and I think her other child, because a speedboat went into the swimming area where they were swimming, she managed to push those two out of the way, but unfortunately was hit full on by the speedboat and it killed her instantly. So very sad. Very sad.
Very
but
sad.
she died a hero. She died a hero. She saved the life of two people, but gave up her own to do that.
And on that
that's
note,
what Fairy Tale of New York means.
Yeah. Number 42, Reason to Live. That sounds a bit unapt now. Unapt. By Kiss. Yeah.
I listened to this. I thought, right, I'm going to give it a go.
Yeah.
Well, I thought I'm going to give it a go because I feel like I should know more Kiss songs than I do. And I know that the majority of them are naff or a bit naff. And I know that Gene Simmons is known for being a real cock. Even the band didn't like him in the end. And shortly after they made this, they basically sat him down and were like, look, you're being a dick, because he was treating the band like his second project because he was getting to his acting and stuff at this time. And they were like, look, be in the band or don't be, which didn't work out quite well because he told him to go get lost, I think. Anyway, long and the short of it is I thought I'd give it a shot. And the video was full of hot, rock women, as these things always are. But they confirmed that I'm not a big fan of Kiss. After watching it, I'm like, just not my cup of tea. I don't know quite what they are, but they're not my thing.
No. Well, as I've noted, no makeup Kiss shows them up for the novelty act they were. They're just... Yeah,
and his face is thin. He's very thin of face, isn't he?
Oh, Paul Stanley.
Yeah. I mean, the guy can sing, for God's sake. He's got an amazing voice.
Don't get me wrong, he's got a good voice when they cover stuff. And when they do put something together like Crazy Crazy Nights, whatever, okay, fair enough. But so much of it is just this bland, crap, stadium-oriented rock that is of no consequence to anybody. For number 44, Angel Eyes by Wet, Wet, Wet.
Netface is back in full schmaltz mode. Yeah.
Is he also a vampire? Why?
Yeah, have you noticed, if you watch the video, if you look at the video, he's got fangs, vampire fangs in there. It's a whole new element to Marty Pello.
Well, where do vampires bite you?
Yeah, true.
And he's full on, he's all neck.
Well, my worry there was that if because it's like a weird sort of version of Vampire Lestat. So how old is he? It's made me wonder whether he's, he looks young in that, but maybe he's always looking young because he's a vampire. Yeah. But you'll see, if you watch the video, in the first 2 minutes, you'll see his fangs. He's best
friends with Shakin' Stevens, so that should tell you something.
It does tell me everything.
Those two in around. And actually, when I went to stay at a hotel in where Marty Pello's from, in the town where Marty Pello was born, and on the picture and on the wall was a picture from 1917, and right there at the centre was Marty Pello. Singing.
Like in the Overlook. He's always been there.
He's always been there. So,
welcome back, Mr. Pello.
He's always been there. Right.
Take your band members out and correct them, Mr. Pello, if I may be so bold.
Number 67, finally, last single, Joys of Christmas by Chris Rea.
Yeah, right. Did you listen to that?
I did.
It's the most joyless thing I've ever heard. He's been dejoyed.
Dejoyed. As I noted, this would be better if it was just a list of women called Joy that he had met at various Christmas parties through the years.
It might be that. It might be just a list.
Joys of Christmas.
And I met Joy McCracker as I pulled a Christmas cracker. He'd probably do better lyrics than that.
Probably not. That'll do. And I met Joy Barton. That's Joey Barton. He played football. Where's my mind going?
When we ate turkey at Mrs. Plurky's house, that's Joey Plurky.
Joy. Oh dear. I thought it would be better. Just a list of joys.
Yeah, joy to the world.
All the joys you've met at the parties you've been to, Chris. I want to know. Yeah,
he's just joyless, isn't he? That song is joyless, like him.
Yeah.
Is he the one that did Driving Home for Christmas as well?
He did, yes.
Yeah.
Chris Rea.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And as someone, way pointed out, sort of thing, we had Dyer, we've got Goner, his brothers.
Goner.
Yeah, I think somebody mentioned.
I don't know why I'm laughing so much at that, but it's because give me a chuckle.
I can't remember who it was, but somebody put that on Facebook. I think when we were talking about it, or it might have been on Twitter, or it might have been in Discord. Somebody said it somewhere, and I went, "I can't believe you missed out his brother Goner."
Whoever you are that said that, I doff my cap.
Yeah, it's a good one. There was another one as well, but I can't remember it. Anyway, albums. Let's get into albums. God. And 1st of November, number 3, The Best of, Volume 1, UB40. The scariest thing about that title is Volume 1 implies there will be more.
Yeah, there is more as well. I have no idea why they became popular. No. We've talked about it before. Let's not talk about it anymore. We've spoken about these already as well. Number 4, Crazy Nights by Kiss. Yeah, 14th album. 14th album. Oh my gosh.
It's got Crazy, Crazy Nights on it. The Candy of 1,000 Uses. That song. What songs are on this? It's got Crazy, Crazy Nights and I'm Wanted in the Basement.
Crazy, Crazy Nights is a very good song. You've got to learn to listen to it more than once.
Absolutely. Is that why you put it on the album 7 times?
Yes, it is.
Well,
Yes.
I'm Wanted in the Basement. Number 6, Best Shots by Pat Benatar.
Yes, Pat Benatar. Dun, 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 Benatar. Sounds like an evil villain from a sci-fi film, Benatar.
It does, yeah. The evil Benatar is rounding up children.
Well, I think it's because in Battlestar Galactica he got Boltar, and his evil twin was Benatar. It wasn't, but it should have been. I wish it was.
Oh, he's less evil twin.
By your command, Benatar. Anyway, this is a platinum certified greatest hits album. Don't know what platinum certified means, though. I don't get
it. Means
that.
it sold a certain number, which I don't know off the top of my head. Might be 500,000 or 750,000.
But just like platinum. I mean, maybe it's a platinum album. Anyway, it's a platinum greatest hits album of. And I couldn't tell you one Benatar song anyway. Treacherous woman that solders out to the bloody Cylons.
Give me wasn't Hit Me With Your Best Shot.
Yes, I'll say yes.
Your best shot. Well, that Benatar. Maybe I've got it wrong. I don't know.
I get her and someone else mixed up, and I can't think of who that is. So. No. I don't know who I was thinking of then, but no. Lord Boltar, clearly.
Yeah, Lord Boltar. What should we do with Benatar? Release him and put a hat on him.
Release the Benatar.
Release the Benatar and give him his best hat.
It does sound a bit like some kind of cream or ointment, doesn't it? If you've got a sore patch of skin, reach for the Benatar.
Either that or a cough syrup. Yeah.
Or a guitar and a banana merged.
If you've got a little tickly throat, give yourself a slurp on Benatar.
It's like Benylin and something else mixed together.
Yeah,
a little slurp.
It's thicker than Benylin. It's more like
your cough's persistent. If your cough's persistent, have 2 slurps, not just the one. Reach for Benatar.
A slurp on Benatar.
Please note that slurp is not a medical term.
Side effects may make you
may include hair loss, and selling your entire race out to the Cylons.
Oh dear. Only a 1% chance. Number 9, Mainstream by Lloyd Cole and the Commotions.
3rd album and final album. Took 2 years to make that as well. It's probably why it's the final album. It takes that long to make them. Yeah, to make such a commotion. It's like, everyone calm down. Right? Just record your bits.
None of them are called Lloyd Cole.
No, who was Lloyd Cole? I don't know.
He was not them. I don't know.
Pole vaulter. Very popular pole vaulter. I have no idea if that's... He might have been.
Number 10 is The Singles by The Pretenders.
Oof.
You're going to get a lot of best ofs in this section.
Yeah, let's just
move along. Number 12, Chronicles by Steve Winwood.
Another one.
It's his first, but not his last.
Yeah, another compilation, yeah.
Number 22 is Seduced and Abandoned by Hue and Cry.
No, Scottish duo, not my thing. Debut album for them.
No, never on my radar, but I thought they were Blandcore, weren't they?
I think they are Blandcore. With a name like Hue and Cry, they probably are.
They probably are. Number 34, Sirius. Their 10th studio album. But as I've noted, this is actually one album where the recording could never be stopped, and it was later split into separate albums. Legend tells that in a recording studio somewhere deep in Aberdeen, the recording is still going on.
It probably is. I don't doubt that. And there's they did an album follow up to this, which was a bit more lighthearted, called Not So Serious. But let's get serious again. This mileage and all of that. I don't know. I only know Clannad. That's the 10th album.
They did the alternative soundtrack to the Batman film, Not So Serious.
Why so serious? Clannad's version would be nice and meek, wouldn't it? I don't know. I just have a feeling that
the hooded man.
wherever they go, they drink lots of mead. That's what I think. I think for some reason I associate Clannad with mead.
Well, that's because that's what they're made from.
Robin Hood, the hooded man.
Boom, boom. Number 37, Secrets of the Beehive by David Sylvian.
Yeah, old Happy. We spoke about that, didn't we? I don't know why Japan broke up, and I mean the fan, not the place. But yeah, like you said, it could be because he's just an unhappy guy, maybe.
Yeah, no, he's always happiness. He's so happy. Number 48, Raise Your Fist and Yell by Alice Cooper.
Big album, 10th album, that from Mr. Cooper. Now, the question I was going to ask you about this, because I made some notes about the infamous tour, which was dubbed Live in the Flesh. When was it you went to see Alice Cooper?
Yes,
I
I saw him on
live,
the Trash tour.
All right, which is the one probably after that then.
It is the one after this, yes.
That,
so it had, because it was, I was in the upper six, so it would be 1990.
Yeah, that's right.
So yes,
I knew you'd seen him, I just couldn't remember if it was this one or not.
And he did all the stuff that you've noted here. So he had all the guillotine and the people getting impaled and heads on spikes and stuff and all the kind of crazy stuff and slitting throats and all kinds of stuff.
I like the fact that he did a homage to his brief role and appearance in John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness, where he impales somebody on a bike.
Yes,
really
I know.
random.
The lesser known death method.
Yeah, push bike.
You don't get many of them.
I don't know much about what's on the album. I didn't check into a lot of that because I know that it's just very theatric. At this point, it's theatric, but I suppose there's been a couple of singles that we've talked about in there. So.
If you're going to do that with a bike, though, it would have to be the Rally Chopper.
Oh, dear.
Yes. I can't think of any other.
Yes.
Or the Striker. The Rally Striker.
It's not the Boxer, it's going to be the Striker.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
In at number 69, All Right Now by Pepsi and Shirley. Don't call your album All Right Now when it's like, it's a classic rock song.
Yeah, the guys in Free are like, should we let them get away with that? Yeah, it's Pepsi and Shirley. They're called Pepsi, for God's sake.
Just let them go, yeah.
The copyright issues are bound for them. They're doomed.
Well, maybe that was a name. Sally Pepsi.
What can we call ourselves? Pepsi and Coca-Cola release All Right Now. Right, we've got a problem with the title of your band and the album.
Everything is a problem.
Everything's a problem. Your derivative, your name's a copyright infringement. Now, that is an issue. You're a living IP issue right now. No, change your name. No, we can't call these. You're going to have to become a nearly brand version of all of those things. Sorry about that.
Little Pepsi, little X-Cola and...
Yeah, Sparkly Cola.
Sparkly Cola and Dr. Salt.
Dear. Anyway, I didn't really listen to any tracks off that. I don't know them, and I don't.
Well, there's a link to our next one because 8th of November, it's straight in number one. Obviously, we've already spoken about it. Faith by George Michael.
Yes, so 25 million copies worldwide sold of that. It's one of the best-selling albums of all time anywhere. So
certified diamond.
Yeah, it's certified diamond by the Recording Industry Association of America in 1996. Yeah, it's a really good album, Faith, by George Michael. There's no way around it. It's brilliant.
Yeah, all right.
And it's his debut album as well. But for your debut solo album to sell 25 million copies is quite extraordinary.
I mean, should we let's roll this into it's not like he's new. He's been, he's become massive on the back of Wham. He's not going to sell if there'd been no Wham and this album came out. This isn't selling 25 million copies. Maybe,
and also there's all the furore, wasn't there, about his contract and his legal ties to.
There's no way that fair enough. For a debut album, I'm not knocking it, but it's on the back of Wham, and Wham were huge.
I think there's no doubt about that. It's partly, but it's such a departure from the sound of Wham. It's nothing like
it is, but
Wham.
I think
I like all of those things. It's all good for me. I like them all.
Yeah, but it is what. Yeah. I sound more annoyed than I should be. I'm not really bothered.
Yeah, well, it's okay. You don't take it personally.
I do though. I take it so personally. I released another album at the same time. It only sold 3 copies. Number 2, All the Best by Paul McCartney.
Is it though? Because it's the second compilation album. So what was on the first one? If this is all the best, that was all the shittest on the first one. You made a fatal mistake there, Paul. Release your good tracks on the first album.
Maybe he's just wishing you all the best because it's Christmas.
Yeah, maybe. You know what's on this album, don't you? The Frog Chorus.
The one we just had to put up with.
Yeah. What was it called?
Yeah.
I can't remember. I don't want to remember it.
Number 9 is Bête Noire by Brian Ferry. So stylish. Even his album titles are French.
So smooth. All his seventh studio album. And Mr. Ferry, he's gone full Ferry on that one.
Very laden, smooth,
Laden.
all vowels, breathy.
That's the reviews of the various newspapers on the bottom of the album. That
All
smooth,
vowels.
The Times, all vowels, the Guardian, breathy, the Sun,
Laden,
the Breathy
the Star.
Times. Yeah. Full Ferry, it's a magazine that you get on the P&O.
Not anymore, you don't.
No, not anymore. Yeah.
Number 10 is Cloud 9 by George Harrison.
11th and final ever studio album, co-produced by Jeff Lynne from ELO. With that,
Yeah, they were in the Travelling Wilburys together, weren't they?
Yeah, exactly. And I actually quite like that album. It's good if you like that kind of thing.
All right. Number 20, Control, the remixes by Janet Jackson.
So it's technically a fourth album, but it's the first remix album. Now, this is interesting only because it's the beginning of the remix album, and we're going to start to see more of these. And I think as we go more now into the once we go through 87 to 88, and certainly through 88, we're going to see loads more of these remix albums. They just became a thing. So
yeah, they did. I mean, that was on the back of was Thingy went out? I mean, the Jelly Bean Madonna one.
Yeah,
well.
That's what I mean. So I say it's now that started the wave, and now we're going to get more and more of them.
Yeah. Number 23 is Eye of the Hurricane by The Alarm.
Third studio album. That don't give a toss about them.
No, neither could I. Number 34, Escape from TV, Jan Hammer.
Yeah, compilation album.
What's on it? That's the Miami Vice theme. What else? Oh, I'm reading in the basement.
It's from that Swedish program, Code. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, good one, Jan.
Yeah. He's probably got Brother Lump. His Brother Lump's pretty good from what I hear. Ball Peen. Sledge, of course. Tack, Roof, and Toffee. They're all his brothers. That's all the hammers, yeah.
Absolutely. and the one they don't talk about, Head Shark.
Well, they were furious when MC Hammer became popular because he was like the rump. They didn't know. They were like, synth albums, man. Do synth albums. No, do my own thing.
Well, it was the Scottish wing of the family, the Jan Hammer family, that were really annoyed with McHammer.
McHammer. Of the clan McHammer.
The clan McHammer. There can be only one McHammer.
Stop.
Number 54, Triumph.
I don't know why I did that. I don't know what accent that was. Danish, I think. Anyway, never mind.
Number 54, Triumph and Agony by Warlock. I can't believe there's a band called Warlock. Although, of course
I went and listened to it because it's German metal, and I thought, oh, you know what? I do like my German metal. Not that one though. No, it's horrible.
That song you've linked to, All We Are, it suffered from Was Not Was-itis. Because they kind of decide how to sing it, because he goes, all we are we all, are all we all are. It's like, think away.
They didn't have a clue what they were saying. They were singing and learning things phonetically. They didn't have a clue.
Well,
they could have been reading the bloody menu from McDonald's. They don't know what they were saying.
The clan McDonald's.
Absolutely clue. That's their fourth and final album, thank God.
Yeah, thank God.
Bloody Warlock.
Number 86, Motormouth by Ben Elton. It's his live stand-up album, isn't it?
Yeah. Which doesn't resonate today very well. I watched a bit of it on YouTube, which is there. He's a funny guy. It's a bit dated now. It doesn't quite work.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he's from the times, isn't he? He was a very of the times comedian. He wasn't an observational. He was like, what's going on?
Yeah, there's some good stuff about trains on there, actually, about people on trains trying to find seats and stuff like that, which is quite funny. But
that's good. Number 7, 15th November. Number 7 is Savage by the Eurythmics.
Yeah, wasn't very well received for their 6th album. It's the one that had that previous horrible track on it. Yeah, I don't know if it's the last one, but it certainly wasn't very commercially successful, which maybe have sealed their fate. And it's also got some of the worst tracks of their entire career on it. Some awful stuff on that. It's terrible.
Well, that will continue into our next one, but it's got number 10. It's Hold Your Fire by Rush.
You said it was on the horizon.
I did. Well, Time Stand Still has come out. So I like this album. I mean, obviously, I do really like this album. It's one of the first got into. It's very synthy. It does have some cracking songs on it, though, but it's also got their worst track ever. Some people do actually say Roll the Bones with its rap is the worst one, but this has got a song called Tai Shan, which it's really slow and loads of panpipes.
Oh, panpipes are never good.
No, it's about some climbing up a mountain in China.
Oh, dear. No.
It's really bad. It's really, really bad. But it does have things like Force 10, Time Stand Still, Turn the Page, and Prime Mover on it, which are all great. Yeah. So there we go. Number 24, The Greatest Hits of 1987 by various artists.
Yeah.
Yep, greatest hits albums assemble. Yeah, we're going to get another lot of them.
We're going to get loads of them now.
Number 49, Love by Aztec Camera.
Yeah, third
Was that
album
in
from
order?
yet another
Love,
Scottish
Aztec
act.
Camera. Yeah,
Yeah.
they did thingy, didn't they? What's it called? Somewhere in my heart there is.
Oh, yeah.
a song.
There's for you. Something
for
is the
you.
blue. And yeah.
Yes.
I can't
that
stop
one.
sniffing glue.
That's the
I've got
one,
a moldy,
yes.
I've got a broken shoe. Something like that. So it rhymes with shoe or blue or
I really
glue.
like Doctor Who. I really
I
need
can't
the
remember the name of it now.
Oh God,
Do you know anyone called
Stu?
Stew?
Number
We're
96.
at 96. Here we are. Yeah.
Yeah, number 96. Back for the Attack. Dokken.
God, fourth album from them. Don't like it. No.
No, I don't like it either. I had to listen to that one
No.
you linked to, and I was like, no, I'm out.
No.
I'm out.
No.
22nd November, straight to number 1. Whenever You Need Somebody by Rick Astley. Yeah, okay.
Get lost, dickhead.
Yeah, fair enough. Number 5, You Can Dance by Madonna.
The remix album, of course.
Yeah, okay. Was this the no? Is this the one we'll talk about?
No, this is a different remix album.
Oh, is this the second remix album or the first?
Yeah, another remix album. Yeah, I don't know if it's the
Another one.
first. I didn't check into the production, but I don't think it's the. It might be actually. You Can Dance. Yeah, it might be the Jelly Bean one. It might be, but it's a remix
Might be.
album anyway.
Number 9 is Floodland by the Sisters of Mercy.
Oh, that's a good album. That it's a good album. That
Yeah, it's got great
it's got the
singles.
tracks on it. Yeah, yeah.
It's got
I think it's
great singles. Discorrosion, Dominion, Lucretia, as you've noticed.
Yeah.
Dominion is a song so good he recorded it twice with different lyrics for Mother Russia.
yeah, true. I don't know. I could forgive them because those tracks on it are really good. The rest of them I couldn't give a toss about really, but there's loads of blurb written on the wiki for that about all the controversy surrounding the sisterhood. I think we spoke about that all that before, but I just
we did. Yeah,
noted that someone had taken the time to really write an essay on it in Wikipedia, which I was like, goodness me, someone got their pants in a twist there.
Don't anger goths.
No, don't do it.
Don't do it. Number 33 is Characters by Stevie Wonder.
21st studio album.
Oh, God.
It's
Some point you
prolific.
give up.
Yep.
I don't know why you've written this on the next one. Number 37 is Kick by In Excess.
Because he stole my balloon. He stole
Who
my
did?
balloon. He stole your balloon. The guy from In Excess. He's just a
Did
balloon
he?
stealer. Yeah, he stole my balloon. He got my good luck share. He got your good luck share. He stole my balloon.
Oh, right.
He stole my balloon.
Michael Hutchins.
In the true Batman tradition, in the Batman movies, where Joker goes, he stole my balloon. And that's what
Oh,
he
see,
did.
I
He stole that balloon.
thought you were referring to some weird American werewolf reference.
No, that's a naked American man. He's not
A
American.
naked mummy, a naked American man stole my
Oh
balloon.
no, you got to do it you got to do it in the right voice. Mummy, a naked American man just stole my balloon.
Yep,
'Cause it's just got- What?
What? Number 39 is the chart show Dance Hits 87. More various artists. Number 66
Yeah.
is The Eternal Idol by Black Sabbath.
13th studio album. It's not an album I recognise or like particularly. Nothing about that interests me.
Number 89, The Very Best of Bread by Bread and David Gates.
Who's David Gates? Why is he so bready?
I don't know. There's another
How
compilation.
could they not
of course,
call this compilation "Get Bready to Rock"? I mean, come on. Are you bready?
Bready Set Go.
Exactly. You don't. If you're going to work a bread pun into an album, there's plenty of mileage in all of those things. You don't have to just call it the very best of bread. No, there's loads
true.
of there's baking jokes, bread jokes. There's different types of bloody loaf. I mean, what are you doing?
A yeast for your ears.
Festive yeast. Have a bready Christmas.
Festive yeast sounds something like you pick up on the night after a dodgy night out.
Ew. What kind of places are you going to where the yeast infections, so especially loaf-based, it's just gross.
Let me get out the Benatar and rub it on.
You need the Benatar applicator. 6 slurps and a splodge, and you'll be good as new.
Absolutely.
You can drink it. You can paste it on. It's good either way.
It's multifunctional medicine. The Benatar.
Please note, it will take 2 weeks to wash off.
Don't get in contact with skin.
There's some good bread songs out there.
Yeah,
I don't
cob,
like bread. I don't like bread sauce
hoagie,
though.
Roll, baguette,
Baguette. See,
all the hits.
how could you baguette us? There's just so many mileage in bread based jokes around that band. To call your album the very best of bread is an insult to the bread humour of the world and the humorists of bread.
I love rock and roll.
That's a secret. I love rock and that's a secret society out there, and you've angered them with your lack of bread-based punnery, you breadless breathers.
Absolutely. It's at Christmas as well. Bappy Christmas.
Honestly, that's what I mean. He doesn't take a lot to think of these things, does it? But they didn't do that. They didn't
take the time. And they had all that time when they were baking, the sourdough. They had 3 weeks.
Exactly, they're anti-breadites, is what they are.
We don't like.
Sorry, but we don't like. And no, anti-breadites, be gone.
No,
be gone. You're not needed.
Trombone man's come back from the creature of that lagoon.
I told you before, we don't want you around here. Bugger off.
There's only 2 albums released on the 29th of November. One was straight in number 1, and that's what I call Music 10. Of
course it did.
And then straight in at number 3 was Hit 7. There you go.
Yep. Double bar.
Oh, good Lord. It's a long music section. 5 weeks worth. That's it. There's your music for November. I'm sure it'll be very short next month because it's Christmas and no one releases anything.
No.
So it's because telling bread jokes again for 2 hours. Or something. Anyway, we'll be back. We've got how many games we've got left? Another 5 games to get through. And so we're going to go for a quick break, have some bread probably, and be back with those 5 games. So stay with us, and we'll see you in a bit.
Sun, Sea and Chippy Tea to our sponsor, DavidHearnWriter.com. Let's take another listen to his amazing new book, Escape from the Commodore 64.
Our job, Nell continued, is to make as much money as we can and buy our way off this planet. This planet? Yeah, this is Targa. She pointed to another sign which read, Targa Tours coming soon. Apparently you used to be able to find the means to escape just by plodding about, but the new mayor soon put a stop to that. And you've done this how many times? Sarah asked, knuckles white around the flight stick. Nell bobbed her head like the little cat Sarah's mother had on their car's dashboard. Oh, once or twice. You used to not die in this game, but... I get it, Sarah said, interrupting Nell. The new mayor. Nell nodded. Yeah, hotels are going up once he figures out how to change the graphics so they're not see-through vectors. Imagine taking a shower in this place. Sarah looked at Nell oddly and instinctively sniffed at her. With a whoosh, the craft shot out into the skies above. The altimeter whirred through a heart-pounding ascent, scenery flashing past in a kaleidoscope haze.
As the mayor of Targ, I declare this book awesome. Escape from the Commodore 64 audiobook is out right now. Visit DavidHearnWriter.com today. What are you waiting for?
And we're back after all that bready nonsense. We're in.
I am properly full of bread.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pushing at the sides. That final cob was the stretch. Yeah.
I'm going to be crapping out baguettes.
Well, I washed all mine down with a nice pint of Benatar.
I washed mine down with liquid sourdough mix. So
that's just going to stick to the sides.
It's not going to end well, is it, for anyone?
It's not. No, your toilet, your cleaner.
Come to think of it, it said don't drink the starter, the sourdough starter. I didn't see the word don't. I should have probably taken note of that. Oh well, in for a penny, in for a pound.
Well, you read it as dough. Dough drink. Oh, okay. Absolutely. And then feast on yeast.
Have you been drinking bread again? Oh, for God's sake.
How often have we told you, don't drink the bread?
Call the water board. The drains are going to be blocked for months.
Oh, they'll have to send Michael down again. Oh, Michael. Right, where are we? We've got games. We've got 5 more games left. So let's get into the first one of them. And we are in, it's conversion territory again. Another £9. Another Imagine title. This is Renegade. So, Graham, you are hot-blooded tough guy Kunio.
That's me.
Did you know that? Oh, Neketsu Koha Kunio-kun. That's probably pronounced terribly, but that's what it is. Or simply put, Renegade to us over here in the West. So, yes, what we have here is a C64 conversion of another groundbreaking, trend-setting arcade game that set the tone and style for countless titles to come. So Renegade was developed by Technos, Japan, and was distributed in the arcades by Potato, in 1986. That joke will never get old. The game was created by Yoshihisa Kishimoto, and strangely, is supposedly semi-autobiographical, being based on his memories of high school and always getting into fights, as well as drawing inspiration from the Bruce Lee film Enter the Dragon. So in the original Japanese version of this game, Kunio was just a high school student who must stand up against a series of rival gangs who keep harassing his classmate Hiroshi. When it was released in the West, however, this was changed to just controlling a street brawler who must make his way through 4 different gangs in order to rescue his girlfriend, who is being held captive by a mob boss. Other changes for the West included altering the visuals, and they took a look that was inspired by the 1979 Walter Hill film The Warriors, and moulded it more around that. So this is another very important game in the evolution of video games. As like Nemesis did, this was the first of what would come to be called, I've never seen this title, but supposedly this is the scroll format of fighters. So,
correct.
There you go. It built on things like Kung Fu Master, which kind of did this before, but hey-ho. But it added the ability to move both horizontally and vertically within the level, and introduced the notion of combo attacks, as well as the 3-button control scheme, as well as the iconography of street brawling. I don't really need to mention games like Double Dragon, Final Fight, Streets of Rage, and those kind of things, which all led on from this, and loads of others, Knights of the Round, Golden Axe, tons. This really set a tone and set a style. One thing I would worth noting here, sort of thing, is, although it's talking about that moving horizontally and scrolling, we've had games, Ultimate games, Staff of Karnath and Entombed, had a very similar visual style way before this. They didn't do the combat and everything, but from a visual style, okay, let's just give them a little bit of props. Maybe they were doing that. I've seen a few games on the C64 that do that kind of sort of side on thing, that detective one as well. Anyway, Renegade on the C64. It was coded by Max Taylor, who, as far as I can see, didn't code anything else. So this was it. It's got graphics by Steve Wahid and Jane Lowe, and we've seen them on lots of Ocean and Imagine titles. Too many to go through. And yeah, because it was converted by Imagine. There isn't much in the way of music, just in game. I think, because there's nothing on the title screen that I could hear. So I think there's maybe a memory issue, as this manages to have the full game in just one load. So I guess something had to give. Maybe they just didn't have the space to put, big Epic Ocean tune in there at the start. So once loaded, you've got a title screen, and the word Renegade is spray painted across a wall, and that's about it. You'll flick to it. There's a high score table as well, but it's essentially, quite urban, quite gritty. It's going for that style. So you press fire and you get into the game. So quite quick. And the gameplay within Renegade is pretty simple, really. So you find yourself in a stage with a number of bad dudes who you must beat up and make them basically until they've got a health. So you need to beat them up more than once. Once you've done this, they disappear. Once you've done enough damage, then they disappear. Once you've knocked enough of them out, the boss of the level will appear. If you beat them, it's on to the next level to do mostly more of the same thing. There's some little changes here and there, but mostly you're doing this from level to level. The levels that you have to fight through are the subway, the harbour, the street alley. You fight in the foyer of the boss's car dealership, and then finally in the office of the boss, the mob boss, who's got your girlfriend. If you make your way through all of these, you get a shortcut scene of you being reunited with your girlfriend before the game loops round again, and you start again. So there you go. It's an arcade thing. These type of games. Loads came after this, but this kind of set the style for this. Fight through many stages with many different types of enemies, and try and get to the end if you can. So on the first level, you have to beat up some unarmed dudes and some dudes armed with clubs. Before the boss turns up, and it's a sunglass wearing boss. He's got sunglasses and a waistcoat, sort of some kind of like chunky waistcoat. On the second level, you must survive, and first of all, you've got to survive an onslaught of motorbikes before beating up more dudes. So for the motorbikes, you have to jump and jump kick. So you jump and kick, and that knocks them off, and you got to knock out 4 of them before the fighting continues, and then you beat up the boss as well. The third level sees the enemies on that, if I remember rightly, they look like mimes. I think they're mimes. And then there's the boss as well. The third level sees you face off against women. I think they're supposed to be prostitutes, probably women of the night, whatever they are. Anyway, they're armed with ships. Ships? No. shivs, I think.
Could be.
Or whips. I don't know why I've turned that. It should be whips. They're armed with whips and clubs before beating up but then you've got the boss is she's called Bertha, I think, and she's a running boss. So she comes charging at you and will knock you out. So you've got to kick her, kind of like you did with the bikes, essentially. If you get to stage 4, that has you beating up henchmen. There's only one type of enemy on this. So you've got shot henchmen and they're armed with knives. Before the final level has more knife wielders and the boss who has a gun to contend with. So you got to look out for that. The game's pretty fast. The C64 version is pretty fast and it's responsive. And although the sprites are a little chunky, they're pretty well animated. There's loads of frames of animation. I like the punching. It looks all right. And the different types of enemies, they're okay. They're chunky, but they look distinct and it's easy enough to tell them apart. I thought the backdrops are pretty well drawn, and they do have that Warriors vibe. It's not quite as dark and gritty, but you can't really do that on the C64. But it looks like that. The tube station or the train station looks like what it looks like, and they've done a decent job, I think, of replicating the arcade machine. The in-game music is a bit tinny though, but again, it sounded like the arcade game. The arcade music is not particularly that great, so they've just replicated that, so it's all right. So all that is good, and now this leads us to probably the most divisive factor of this conversion, and that is the controls. So the game is controlled through movement on the joystick and attacking and jumping on the keyboard. So this is a weird control system. The fire button, as far as I can make out, does nothing. I don't know if it did do anything, but I don't think it does anything. So I guess this is an effort to replicate the control mechanism of the arcade machine. Remember, in the arcade machine, this game introduced that 3-button control system with a stick as well for movement. So you can't do that with a single button, fire button, joystick. So if you had a joystick that had suckers on it, you're kind of okay. You could, some joysticks, remember about that, you could suck it to the thingy, you could move that and have your hand on the keyboard. You kind of be all right. So you use essentially the top buttons in the top left corner. So it's the backspace, delete, 1 and 2. And they do your attack to the left, jump, and attack to the right, respectively. So, and that's quite useful because when you can do kicks and back kicks. I'll come on to them in a bit. If you didn't have a suckery joystick, I imagine this control method would be a complete pain in the ass. If you had to try and move a joystick and hold that and try and keep it steady and everything, it'd be a pain in the ass. However, so if you can get on with it, there's a decent enough port of the arcade machine here. All the stages are here. Present and correct, bar a couple of the more advanced moves. So the move set you've got punch. So if you're facing, whichever way you're facing, if you're facing to the left and you press the left attack, you'll punch. If you're facing to the left and you press the right attack, you'll do a back kick. That's kind of it. You can jump as well, so you can jump, and if you jump, and press either way, you'll do a kick in that direction, so you can jump and do kicks as well. So it says the manual also says you have the ability to beat them on the floor, so crouch and punch them, but I could never pull it off. I could never do it. So I don't know if it's in there. It's in the manual, but I don't know what the controls don't actually tell you how to do it. But what it doesn't have is it doesn't have the sort of the lunge attack, or you can grab them. So if you punch them a few times, if you move into them and press the control, it will grab them and you can then smack them around the head as well. But you'll be getting hit from all sides of this. So most of it's there. Most of the arcade is present and correct. And that includes the time limit for each level. And that I found is normally the thing what did me in. I ran out of time. And if you do run out of time, it's game over. So that introduces that. So if you run out of time, it's game over. And that's because I found that the main flaw with this game is that the combat is just a bit broken in this version. And the only way to really overcome all the enemies is to back yourself into a wall and just let them get in range and punch or kick them repeatedly. That's the only way I could figure out to do it. And even looking online at people who've done playthroughs on YouTube, that's how they've done it. Because if you stand in the open, you'll just get surrounded and swarmed, and you won't be able to punch anyone. You just get, if you let them get in range, and they'll just do that. And if you do that, then it's possible to, if you can do it in time, to walk through most of the levels, because they'll just come into range. And if you've already punched one, and the next one will just walk into range as well, and you can just punch the pair of them, and it gets very easy. Obviously, there are some bits like the bikes and the boss on level 3 where this won't work, but it's really quite a legitimate tactic. And that's because there's an issue with the movement in this. When you're walking around, you move really fast, but the enemies walk backwards just as fast as you do as you walk forward. So you can't close the gap on them. So you kind of, it's just a pair of you just walking along, and you can't get close enough to them to punch them. And that's odd, and it's frustrating. And it leads you into this mode of play, which back into a wall and just wait for them to line up. And it's such a shame, because all the rest of it's kind of almost there. And they'll always duck as well when you do a flying kick on them. which is annoying. So you can't really use that as something to sort of have some distance. If you try and do the back kick, the one in the front will just close in quickly and punch you, and then you're stunned, and then the one at the back and the one in front they'll both lane into you. It's a decent port of the original game, and it gets better by its sequel, so I'm looking forward to playing Target Renegade somewhere down the line. It is, however, if we're going to talk about other versions, because it's an important game, it's not the best 8-bit computer version, though. That goes to the Amstrad version. I remember playing it a lot. My friend had an Amstrad, and this is one of those games that the Amstrad went, this is a much better version, and they're not wrong. It's much better. It looks better. The graphics are really good on that Amstrad version. It doesn't scroll, though, which is, the 64 does. It has flick screen, but I don't think this is a game that really loses much from not scrolling. It's just a better visual representation, and it played better, and it was easy to do the downward hit. Still, I thought the C64 version is pretty decent. It's all right. It's just, I know the meat of the game is that combat, and if that's a bit broken, that might put it, and the controls are a bit weird. But they got close. They'll get closer when we get Target Renegade. But I didn't mind this, and I think it's important in where it lands. But I just wish that combat was just a bit better, and that walking speed, and you could close the gap on them. It's just that frustrated me. What about you? How did you find the C64 version of Renegade?
It's all right. I've always had a bit of a soft spot for Renegade. It is very, very early side-scrolling beat 'em up. There's a really great entry in the Go Straight book, the ultimate guide to the side-scrolling beat 'em ups, which is an excellent book, by the way, really, really good. And there's an entire 3-page section on a Renegade and its importance and its varying names and its influences and how it led to Double Dragon and all of that. And so, yes, it's very important because it's kind of, it's almost it's at the same kind of starting point as Kung Fu Master, which is kind of seen as the precursor for a lot of this stuff as well, as you rightly said. So the C64 version, it's all right. It's not one of my favorites of this type. And and that's because I don't really like these kind of games on this platform. I much prefer them later down the line. I kind of got more into them when the Sega Mega Drive and stuff like that sort of came and the arcades around that time as well. So I remember playing this at the time and thinking it was okay, but the controls are a bit odd and it is buggy. I think it feels buggy to me. The fighting is quite ploddy and stilted and it sort of works here and there but doesn't quite work, and you can quickly get stuck in kind of a loop where you can't get out of anything. So I think it's a good arcade conversion in the sense that it's a C64 version of something, and they've managed to cram quite a lot in there. It sort of plays almost good enough, and it's in the same kind of arcade conversion realm as Ghost and Goblin, so it's an almost there, and it's not bad. It got a quite high review, didn't it? 90% in Zap, I think, and
yeah, it got Sizzler, yeah,
and that's fine. I get maybe why. Maybe they did see the importance of this. They obviously love the arcade, and the arcade is quite good. But yeah, this is all right. I don't think it's the C64 version, as you said. It's not the best version to play, and this genre gets better, and not because of Renegade, but Renegade is kind of a really good starting point for many of the tropes that later these games rely on. So, and like you said, it is basically the Warriors. They've just robbed even the mimes are from the Warriors, and some of the graphics, the iconography is straight out of that. So yeah, it's all right. It's okay. It's a perfectly acceptable game if you accept its flaws. But for me, I much prefer this game on another platform, and I also prefer these types of games on other platforms. This isn't the best place to play them. So,
well, I know I loved Target Renegade back in the day. I loved it. It's one of the few C64 games I could, complete through all the way through. I think
you might have happy eyes for that, but we'll see as when we get to that.
I just remember I remember the graphics being really good. They're all high-res sprites, aren't they? It's all really, really good.
It's just what you remember is that it looks good. It's just sparse, is what when you see it again. But we'll come to that. We'll come to that.
Probably. Anyway, yeah, we will. But yeah, there's Renegade, the C64 version of Renegade, another important title.
Yes, it is.
As we move through all these games, let's move into our next one. And we looked at the crapvert for this last week. And so, Graham, take us into the Mean City.
This is created by Jeff Gammon. Title screens by Sam Wade. Musician is Paul Meredith here. I'm not sure it was published by. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Quicksilver, isn't it?
Quicksilver, $9.95. Quicksilver, $9.95. This was. So the Earth has been smashed in by a nuclear war, isn't it always? And the survivors have split into two factions: city folk that live in the cities or the remains of the cities, and mutants that wander around. The wastelands, I guess.
Isn't that Judge Dredd?
It's Judge Dredd. It's also the story of the Daleks and Doctor Who, Genesis of the Daleks, but hey-ho. Anyway, following a sneaky raid, Hanti, leader of the mutants, has been captured by the city folk. Upset by the shitty turn of events, Santi, son of Hanti, decides to infiltrate the city and go on a rescue mission. This is no simple task. The key to Hanti's cell has been split into 4 sections and hidden within separate parts of the city on different plinths. On top of that, Calty, for fuck's sake, cousin of Hanti, has set off to kill Santi because he wants to be the leader of the mutants.
Meanwhile, Panty.
So Calty's going to kill Santi and Hanti because anyway. So this is a 2-player or a CPU versus, you player, a game where one is Santi and the other is Calty, and both trying to find Hanti. God's sake. The game is played from a top-down view where you see, kind of Gauntlet style, where you are and sort of the environment, and you navigate that in a top-down orthographic view with the screen split into 3 sections. Player 1, Santi. I get the names right. You've got to get these things right. Santi at the top, I think, and Calty at the bottom. In the middle, you've got an area where you can see their health indicator and score. So obviously the idea of the game is you've got to navigate your way around the city or the various parts of the city looking for the keys and the 4 parts of the key so you can release Hanti if you are Santi. But if you are Calty, then you're looking for Santi to maybe kill him. I'll steal the keys from him so you can get to Hanti and kill Hanti first and take over his name. So it's very complex Hanti-Santi-Calty logic, really, but the okie-dokie, innit? So the inhabitants of the city don't like mutants, and so they'll try and kill you at every turn, or at least deplete your energy until, if you lose all your energy, it's death. And that's the end of the game, and you actually go back, and this is an annoying part as well. Any key parts that you've collected are also returned back as well, so it's literally back you go to, it's stupid that. If Calty kills Santi or vice versa, then any keys that those have collected are transferred back to that person. So if Santi happens to have 3 key parts and kills Calty or the other way around, then the keys are switched over. The first person with 4 key parts can either release Hanti and kill him or release Hanti and everyone's happy. So you get all that? I hope you did.
I have no idea what you're talking about, I have to say.
Just glad there isn't a character called Panty. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I did say that. What's Panty up to?
Well, who knows and who cares? Graphics era, medium res. They move around quite slowly in that kind of Gauntlet tradition, I guess. You don't get to see a whole lot of the screen, so it's split into those thirds, as I said, and the middle is that health indicator bit, so you've just kind of squeezed into the top or the bottom. There's a lot of yellow and brown in this, and the music's kind of passable, I suppose. It just sound effects, sort of simplistic sound. They're kind of tonal sound effects, I suppose. They work for the context of what it is. There's some reasonably good presentation, I suppose, but the whole thing is sluggish and a bit slow and ploddy. In a game that probably could do with being a bit more frantic. And because it isn't those things, you just kind of meander around looking for Hanti or Calty or Santi or whatever the hell you're doing. And picking up keys and just wandering around, really. And it's quite easy to get lost as well as you wander around. There's no real way of mapping this, I suppose. You're just going to wander around till you find the key parts or die or get them taken off you. It's a bit too slow to be fun. And so you end up just meandering around, plodding about, and that isn't very interesting or exciting. And that's the key problem here, is that considering this is a game where somebody's after somebody, or you've got to get to a certain point by a certain time, there's no real sense of urgency here. It just kind of just plods about, meanders around, nothing much doing. Graphics are average, not terrible, but they're average. It's a straight down the middle of the road average game, and a 51% score from Zapped kind of confirms that. £10 though, quite a lot of money for this. Don't know that it would really, it's £10 worth of fun, whether you're Hanti, Santi, Panty, or whatever the hell you are. So I didn't really think much to it. The score's pretty much accurate. I didn't play it for long. I got bored of it really quite quickly. What about you?
Yeah, pretty much the same. Yes, it's a split screen Gauntlet variant with the viewpoint so wide it would put CinemaScope to shame.
Yeah, it's wide.
And that's really the main issue. It's so narrow and so much of the screen is taken up with a pointless UI that playing this and moving vertically at all is pointless as enemies are upon you before you even know it. I mean, the UI, to be fair, is probably the nicest part about this game, even though it's unreadable, as the rest of it, with its indistinct sprites and nondescript music and sound effects, are not up to what we expect from a full-priced game at this stage. I mean, I suppose the competitive split-screen Gauntlet thing is new to the genre at this point, but when you can't see what is going on or have any real indication of what to do, and even though that half of the screen is that massive UI, your life meter is unreadable. I couldn't figure out whether I was close to death or not. The idea behind it, the sort of different objectives, is just all moot. And as you've rightly said, the controls are slow and clunky as well. I didn't find this. This was just not fun to play at all.
Nope.
No, mean shitty.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned. There we go. I didn't. It's just stupidly overplotted, overcomplex. Just dull. We can only, if we're going to split screen this, we can only actually scroll that much of the screen separately. So we'll have to take up the rest with the UI. You can't play it that way. It's just rubbish.
Aye.
So no, not for me.
Nope.
There we go. Mean City. Let's move along. And let's get in the pool. Let's get in the pool. It's water polo. So full price water polo. This actually was weirdly, this would come out as a budget title. So I think it gets a budget re-release somewhere down the line from Mastertronic. But this version is from Gremlin Graphics and it's full price, $9.99. Water polo is supposedly the toughest team game in the world. Although, because to stop is to drown and no one wants to drown. I mean, I don't know. Games like that, Highlight and Kabaddi, they look quite competitive and weird. So I don't know. Water polo was also, according to the box, among the first team games to be played at the modern Olympics in 1900. Wow. And its rules were created by William Wilson, who was a Scottish aquatics pioneer.
Fair enough. I
don't know what an aquatics pioneer is. I don't know. Maybe he created the rules for this. Maybe he made up swimming strokes. Anyway, so this is full price, as I said. It was created by and apologies if I get these pronounced wrong, Gabor Pongyor and Antal Zolnai. They did the coding. Janos Zana and Niklos Herendi on graphics and sound. Now, Gabor, Antol, and Janos, they obviously are some kind of team because they're also going to go. They will go to work together again on games called Alternative World Games and a game called Sports Aroni. And we may see them in later episodes, but who knows? So anyway, so they've obviously got a penchant for doing sports games, but here we go. So water polo is a game, the basics of water polo, let's go through them. It's a game, if you don't know what it is, it's a game played by two teams in a swimming pool with there's goals at the end. Essentially, it's handball or football, but in water. It's a team-based game where the object is to score in the goal at the other end. You swim about, you pass to your teammates, and you try and score in the opposing goal. I'm not going to go through into finite details on the rules because there's quite a lot to do with how you can pass, how you can block, what you get sent off for. There's loads of really weird rules, but I'm not going to go into them. So what do we have? In this game, you've got two teams of 6 players, and in the C64 version, we've got the white team and the black team, and that's denoted by their swimming caps. So the teams are composed of 5 outfield players, or outpool players, I suppose, and a goalkeeper. So as noted in the C64 version, it's exactly like the normal version. The aim is to pass it forward and score and stop the opposing team doing that to you. So whoever gets the highest score wins. It's like that. Football, handball, whatever. So when the game loads, we've got some options. We have a demo mode, so where you can watch the two teams duke it out, but you can give them different skill levels and see how that plays out if you wish. So that's quite nice. You can watch your level 1 player level 9 and get hammered. So that's quite interesting if you want to do that. Other than that, we have a 1-player mode, 2-player mode, and a championship mode. So in 1 or 2 players, you play a single game against a computer or another player. Now, it was weird that when I played a 1-player mode, it asked me what level did I want my team to be at, but it didn't ask me what level I wanted the computer team to be at. So I'm not sure if that was asking me whether it's a translation issue and it was giving a level to the team. I wasn't sure. It says in the instructions that you give them a level, but it was confusing. I didn't quite understand. And you also give your team a name as well before you play. In championship mode, though, something a bit different. So you pick your level, and then you get to choose a team from the pikes, the seals, the frogs, or the ducks. So I don't think it actually matters what you pick. So once chosen, because you can rename the team if you wish. So you can name what you want. 5 letters you've got at your disposal. So the good thing here, though, is that your championship can be 1, 2, 3, or 4 players, with the computer playing any that are not player controlled. So that's quite a nice touch. So if you're 3 of you can still play a 3-player game and just have the computer take on the last 1, 2, whatever. You can just play a 1-player and do that. Once you've exited, there's a little exit button. It takes you to the list of games, and you pick which one to play through. If you're in a game, or you can watch the basic computer play itself and that sort of thing. So again, some nice touches there. In the championship mode, the score table keeps track of games won, lost, drawn, and the goal difference until the champion emerges at the end. So what's the game like itself? So the game itself is seen from a side-on view. Think things like international football, international basketball, international tennis. It's more international football. It's like international football. It looks like that. So it's that kind of view. The pool takes up most of the screen. And along the top is the side of the pool, and you've got a referee who walks along, keeping up with the play, and he calls out any fouls. So he animates. He seems to get quite angry and stuff. So it's quite a nice little animated figure at the top. Although he does look a bit like Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. And there's a crowd behind him, which is the people watching the game. So as for the game itself, you control whoever is nearest the ball in typical fashion for this. So, and this is quite clearly noted. It's denoted. You get a different coloured swimming cap. I think it turns grey. So that's the person you are controlling. You can swim in 8 directions. And when you have the ball, you stop by pressing the fire button, or you can just stop swimming. And if you press the fire button, this initiates the passing or shooting. So, and I think it's supposed to be in the direction you're facing, I think, but I might get it wrong. I don't know. So holding the fire button down, you can add speed by holding the joystick in the direction you are facing, or you can do a higher sort of lob throw, softer throw, by holding it in the opposite direction. If you hold the joystick at 90 degrees to which way you're facing, it adds spin in that direction. So if you're facing to the right, for example, you hold the fire button down. If you press to the right, it's going to do a faster shot. If you press to the left, it's going to do a slower shot. If you push up, it's going to do a bend to the left, or it's going to put left spin on it, pull it down, and it'll put right spin on it. If you want to do variants of this, you can use the diagonals to add spin with a fast shot and things like that. When you've done all that, to throw the ball, you let go of the fire button and then quickly jab at it again, and your player should throw it with the spin speed thing that you've sort of put on it. And that is where the main issue lies in this game, or one of them. I played this for quite a while, trying to get my head around it, looked at the instructions, read through stuff, and I never really felt that the pass that was happening was actually what I was trying to get it to do. And then sometimes it would throw it in a direction I was not facing. So I never really felt in control of the game. And on top of that, no matter what level I stood the computer at, they just unerringly went downfield and scored, or down pool and scored. So in one player, I never felt like I had a chance. And I didn't know how to get the ball off them. I didn't know how to tackle them. I never seemed to be able to block it. And this kind of just, wore me down, and it didn't make me want to persevere enough to get good at it. I've read around, people go, oh no, once you get good at it, it's good. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to. I don't feel like it's worth the investment. The visuals are okay. There's obviously some nice sprite multiplexing going on, I think, because there's all the player sprites are on screen at once. So if your goalkeeper's on, there's the referee. So you've got a good number of sprites moved about, two teams of 5 plus a goalkeeper and the ref. So you've obviously got more than 8 sprites, and there's no flickers or anything. So it's all very smooth and everything moves around quite well. I think they do this by keeping certain players in certain bands. So for the use of the 64, but it's good and it works. And that's quite nice. And I thought they're animated quite well. They look like swimmers. The swimming animation, the forward stroke is quite good. And the ball moves pretty well. We've spoken about bad ball movement earlier on, but I think in this one it moves pretty good. If you it just never seems to do what I wanted it to do. The sound was a bit nondescript though. It's got that white noise crowd hum that I think we mentioned in that basketball game, that 2-on-2 basketball game that you get in these kind of games and things like that. And there's the odd whistle sound from the ref. And there's also a nice replay feature when a goal is scored. So it'll sort of rewind back and show you a replay of the goal. So that's quite impressive at this point. I think in 2-player, you might get an afternoon of fun out of this, but 10 quid, you probably want some more. And maybe that's why the championship mode's in there. But obviously, I think if you're really into water polo, I don't think there's another water polo game on the C64. So this is it. And it's not bad in that respect. If you can get your head around the controls and you get used to it, you might get a lot of fun from this. But if you're not, there are better, more approachable, international soccer for one thing, 2-player sports games on the machine. And I think despite this being technically pretty good, the controls are a barrier to most people, I think, to trying to get on with this. And I think that they're just a bit too convoluted and don't quite work as well as they could do. And I think there could have been a decent game here, but I think those controls get in the way a bit for me. Did you enjoy your time in the pool?
No, I didn't. I never wanted a water polo game. I had no interest in water polo. And so making a game that was water polo was never going to appeal to me in any way. I gave this a shot, found that the graphics are okay. Yeah, it's technically quite clever the way they've got all the sprites, multiplex and everything. The controls were just stupid and weird. And I didn't have enough interest in water polo or the desire to play a game of water polo to get any further into it than just try and have a go and see where I could get. So I didn't enjoy my time with it. That's not to say that somebody might like it. You'd have to be a fan of water polo. Just think, if you're some games lend themselves to a sort of 2-player experience on a computer, football generally, things like that. Water polo is just so out there and so niche. It's like making a 2-player curling game. It's just maybe there's a case for this to be part of a bigger sports game, like a World Games type thing, I think.
Yes.
But at the end of itself, it just felt this far too niche a sport to really be appealing to anybody. It's not, especially because in the UK, we don't have that breadth of sports at the school level to where water polo would have been anything that anyone in the UK really encountered. Uh-huh. Now, obviously, there's the rest of the world out there, and they may have got more out of this than obviously we did. I don't think I've ever played water polo in my entire life, or at least ever seen it. So no. It's completely outside of my regimen to even really get into anything like this. So no, it wasn't enjoyable. And on top of that, the controls, like you said, it never seemed to really do what I wanted it to do. And I was never really sure whether that's because I was crap at it. Well, I'm pretty sure I was. But I also didn't feel like I was ever controlling anything. It just seemed to do its own thing. And I was always getting, I was never going to beat the CPU player. So it seems like a lot of cash for something so niche. But hey-ho.
That's what I mean,
72%.
yeah. I think if this had come in at a budget price, it reminds me of in that kind of niche sports range, like something like Bump Set Spike, which
that's that again. It's a bit better than this.
But
Bump Set Spike's
it's a
great.
niche. 1980s sort of beach volleyball was not something that was massive in the UK, but it was £2.
No, but it's not as niche as water polo.
No, probably not. No, but I put it in. It's in that same kind of bracket. But yeah, Bump Set Spike was better because it controlled a little bit easier. But it's in that's £10. But like I said, this does hit budget range at some point. So maybe
there's an outside chance you may have played beach volleyball or volleyball. There's an outside chance that at school you may have encountered that.
Maybe
the chance if you're playing water polo, unless you're a graduate of Oxbridge, it's unlikely.
That's slim.
No.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. Fair point. Fair point. Well made. There you go. Water polo. It is what it says in the tin. It's a water polo game. But there you go. Let's move along. Because next up, we've got Anarchy. Just outright Anarchy.
Outright Anarchy. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Created by Michael Sentinela with music by Nigel Grieve. Okay, the peaceful life on the planet Sentinel-4 has gone tits up because of rebels. Rebels, actually, bloody rebels. They've taken over a security facility and they now keep a whole bunch of their weapons in warehouses.
I'm feeling that these plots are wearing on you.
Yeah, talk about inconvenience. Rebels and squatters is what this game has come to. Rebels and squatters. So, in a last attempt to sort this situation out, an Ace Mark II tank has been sent in to blow their weapons stash up and leave them armless. So, in this game, you control said Ace Mark II interceptor tank, and you have to drive it through the complex and destroy all the weapons containers, but at the same time, avoid the security guard droids as they are deadly to the touch. And when all the containers have been destroyed, the building's security system will open, allowing you to escape deeper into the complex. There's a time limit on each one of these sections, which is about 2 minutes. And so you've got to complete it in that time. Otherwise, the security system will detect your presence and drain all oxygen from the building, killing all intruders. Every fifth building within the complex contains the rebels' nuclear weapons. These buildings are guarded by a special droid, which senses the presence of an intruder, following his exact course taken until it catches and destroys you. So you've got to be careful with that one. So, yes, that's essentially this game. So it's a bit of a scroll, navigate your way around, and it's a bit weird the way the game plays out. So you're kind of inside of a maze. It almost feels like you're in a weird tank version of Pengo at certain times.
Yes,
But you're sort of driving around, shooting at blocks, periodically blowing them up with kind of cool sound effects. And sometimes when you shoot the enemies, they turn into blocks, which you can then move around. Anyway, the idea is that you shoot your way through each level and shoot enough of the level to go to the exit, to go to the next level, to shoot more of that, and so on and so on and so it goes. The game graphics are medium res tiled sort of affair. So you're in kind of mazes constructed of blocks. So think a bit like Boulder Dash type blocks, so tile-based game, essentially.
Pengo, like you said.
Yeah, like Pengo. You need to move around and navigate this tank. Navigating around is fairly easy enough. You've got a strange option for increasing the response. I think it's the responsiveness or sensitivity when you first start. So you can sort of, you can be faster or slower, I guess. And that's kind of the novice, medium, skill, or hard, I guess, is the way that kind of affects the gameplay. So you navigate your tank around with the joystick, shoot with the button, obviously. It's pretty responsive. Again, that responsiveness, like I said, can be altered at the title screen. I thought it played all right for what it is. The blocks are on the kind of base release side of graphics. It does have some nice playability to it. Runs pretty well. There's no slowdown or bugs that I could see in it, really. It's just boring, all said and done. It's $1.99 though, so not bad value. It's a bit boring, but it got 83% in Zap. I just thought, for $1.99, there's something to do. There's no real bugs in it. And it looks okay, and you can sort of navigate your way around. And there's a fairly simple mission. Just shoot stuff. It's pretty drive a tank, run away, shoot stuff at $1.99. Is it not bad value for that? I suppose it's going to kill an afternoon. It's not the greatest game on earth though, by any stretch of the imagination. But it's not absolute crap either. I don't know if it deserved 83% really, but it's all right, I suppose. There's enough game here for £2 to go at. I played it for a bit, and it is what it is. There's not a great deal more to it than what you see is what you get. It does that thing that most of these kind of games are doing, these budget games. It takes a fairly simple single idea, or maybe a single idea plus a little bit, and just does that a lot. Do that. Do this thing loads. Do this thing more. Level 3, you're doing more of the thing you did in level 1, just more of it with more difficulties. More. All right. For £2, I'll go for that. Not bad. What did you think? I don't know why it's called Anarchy, but okay.
Yeah, I have no idea why it's called Anarchy. But it's from Racket, isn't it? Which was Hewson's budget label.
Yeah, it is Hewson. Yeah, it's Hewson Consultants. Yeah,
it's weird. So it's a puzzle blaster, isn't it? It's not something we see very often. Well, it is because it's a maze game. You've got to destroy all the crates, as you said. because the trick to it is that you've got to have space between your ship and the crate to shoot it, haven't you? So you can't be next to the crate.
Yeah. You just got to be sort of away from it.
And then so you've got to kind of work out your way. You've got to clear out pathways to allow you space to destroy them, whilst also avoiding the bots moving about. You can also shoot and stun for short periods of time. So it's not always obvious how you can destroy some crates, and you kind of have to move away around and shoot some out to allow you to get into a gap that gives you space to shoot some of that, and so on and so on and so forth. So it's kind of like the way you clear a maze is not always obvious at first, but there is generally only one way to do it as well. So there's a set way of getting through. So it's okay. Like you said, it's a puzzle. It's a puzzle game, really. You can push, when you do stun the enemies, you can push them around with your gun. So you can sort of like use them as temporary barricades to stop other meanies getting in. Then they last for a little bit. The design of the mazes was quite good, quite interesting. I thought the first one was a bit weak. They get better as they go along. It's an interesting concept, but like I said with Pi R squared, although how before I get to that, what it could have done without was resetting the level every time you die. That's really annoying.
Yeah, but that's budget games. Though.
I know that they do that. But I'm just saying that's the thing. And again, like Pi R squared before, give me some kind of password system to skip through stuff, so I don't have to fight my way through the levels I've seen every time. I mean, there's some nice options. There's 2-player mode. Like you said, it looks all right. The graphics are quite nice. It is what it is. It's a bit representative visually from what everything is. It moves smoothly. You can 3 difficulty levels, however you want to control it. It's all there. It all works. £2. I thought this was one of the better budget releases we've seen recently. This is Zapped scoring when you're giving Swamp Fever and stuff like 50% or whatever. You can clearly see why they've got 83 because they've sort of left themselves no room. But I would have probably put it that high, being the sort of 70s or something like that. But for a couple of quid, if I'd have picked this up, I think I'd have played through most of this, trying to figure out my way through the mazes. So, all right, I didn't particularly mind it. I wasn't sure what to expect. It wasn't a sort of puzzle blaster with tanks. It's also, it's a bit like the tank section in Tron as well. A bit. There's a bit element of that and Pengo and everything in this. But it's all right. I didn't mind it. But yeah, Anarchy. God knows why. It's all right. There you go. £2 Anarchy. £2 Anarchy. Budget Anarchy. It's like a fight outside a pub. Budget Anarchy. Or maybe fight outside a Lidl. Here we go. Let's move along. To our last one. And we've got a big one to end on, perhaps. Let's have a talk. This is Morpheus. £10 and a sizzler at 90%. To get that out there, let's put that in there now. Morpheus is the god of dreams in Greek mythology, and he's also Lawrence Fishburne's character in the Matrix trilogy, and I'm not speaking of the new one. So, welcome to the desert of the real, or more accurately, Andrew Braybrook's new game, Morpheus. So this is an interesting one, I'll give it that, but is it actually any good? Don't know. Let's have a think. It's programmed and graphicked by Andrew Braybrook, and it has sounds courtesy of Steve Turner. This is the Graph Gold duo back at the helm. But this time they're under the publishing wing of Rainbird, and not Hewson. So this is the first game they've not released under Hewson. So this looks like a Braybrook game. You load this up and, oh, yes, this looks like an Andrew Braybrook game. It's got all the technical presentation that we've come to expect and the smart graphical style that he does very well. It's got his usual bas relief style, and the sounds are those strange mixes of computer bleeps and whistles that characterize his games, and shots and blasting and shooting. It looks and sounds and feels like a Braybrook game. All that is present is correct, as is the quality of the coding, weight of care, and consideration that's gone into this game. It's all there. It is obvious that Braybrook really gives a damn about all aspects of the game. And having read his diary that ran through most of 1987 in Zapped, this comes through not only in his writing, but in the finished game as well. Everything is polished. Everything works as it should do. Everything is smooth. There's no frame rate drops, no flickering sprites. He goes on quite a lot about his 32 sprite multiplexer in the article sort of thing, and actually, rubbishes. He's not a fan of Chris Butler's work because he rubbishes both Ghosts and Goblins and Commando. But hey ho, this is a polished, top-notch piece of game making from a technical perspective. Let's just put that to one side. Of that, there's no doubt. But we said the same of Alley Cat as well, and that was amazing from a technical point of view. Everything looked there and everything. But that was a bit of a miss for us. The egg inside the Scotch egg, as we called it, had gone off. So is it the same here? So let's go through the game and we'll come back to that. So Morpheus tasks you with clearing the nuclei from 50 sub-universes each of which is made up of said nucleus and 32 orbitals. So the objective is to enter each universe, shoot enough of the orbitals that will then force the nucleus to shut down, and once it's done that, you can move on to the next one. Within each universe, there are enemies or things, and they're called Aethers, and they meander about. And these can be shot for cash money, which you also get from destroying the nucleus and collecting the debris, this triangular debris that emits from it as it decays. Just before it blows up, it'll emit these triangular shapes. And if you fly into them, you get money. And this money allows you to improve your craft with various new systems and weapons to enable you to progress. As the subsequent universes get harder to survive in and the number of orbitals needed to destroy the nucleus goes up. So we've seen this type of design before in various guises, and really this is simply a destroy the power points to blow up the central processor and move on. That's what this is. So under all the sci-fi talk of nuclei, orbitals, and ethers, that's what this is. This is a ramping up of difficulty. First one is destroy 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth, and that's what it is. So what makes this different, if anything? So let's talk about your ship, first of all. It's huge. It's massive. As spaceships go, it's huge, this thing. Normally we talk about the power door. If you look at Alicap, if you look at Iridium, there's games before this. Small sprite, that's what you control. Here, it's a multi-sprite thing. It's big. And it always faces to the right. So despite this being a 360-degree scrolling game, you can't turn. You cannot turn. You always just face to the right. At the front of the ship are your lasers. This is the basic ship you get. And at the rear of the ship is your transporter that allows you to get back to base at any time. And along the spine of the ship, so the ship kind of looks like, if you imagine, I don't know, Space 1999, is that a good call for what the ship kind of looks like? That sort of triangular head and then the body and then the thrusters at the back. It looks a bit like that, but in squares, because it's got 2 squares in the middle, and I'll come to them in a bit. So along the spine of the ship, there's a series, so linking the head and the tail of the ship, there's a series of yellow squares. So there's also one in the gun at the front, and there's one in the transporter at the back. So most of the time, the square in the gun at the front is flashing, and this tells you that that's what's activated. So that's what's going to happen when you press the fire button. You're going to shoot. If you hold the fire button down, though, it allows you to move the flashing square along this spine of lights and choose what you wish to control. So you move it all the way back to the transporter, and then you hold the fire button again. This will transport you back to the base, because you launch every start of every mission. You launch out from your base, kind of like we saw in Mutants, I guess, where you choose something at the base and then you decide what you launch into. It's that kind of thing, but here's a bit more graphically smart. So we'll talk about that in a bit. Once you're back at your base, you've been out into the universe. You've shot some stuff. You've destroyed a nuclei. You've collected some cash. You go back to your base. You can buy some new systems. But your core ship, only has space for 2. So the middle section of the ship is basically squares, and so each one of these is a system that you can bolt on. So when you start, you have a health thing, which is like two little lines going around in a circle in the top part of the ship, and that's your health. The slower they go in, the more closer you are to death. When you get really close, it starts flashing orange, and so you don't want that. If you destroy the nuclei and get back to the base, then your health is replenished. But if you go back to the base without destroying the nuclei mid-level, it's not replenished, and that's what you've got to watch out for that. The other square on your ship is blank, so that's waiting for a new system. And so, if you've got enough money, you can go through the list of options that you have, and those list of options you can buy a new system, you can install a new system, you can buy a new weapon, you can install a new system, install a new weapon, you can scrap a system, or you can scrap a weapon. So basically, you've got these options, and once you move up to them, you move left or right to see what's available. Everything costs money. You can also buy new ships as well, bigger ships, but they cost a lot of money. So you've got to go out into quite a few before you can get enough money to buy you a new ship. And new ships give you more slots for more systems, and so on, and new weapons, which you can then attach, and so on and so forth. You get the second ship, and it has 4 slots, and the light spine that goes from back to front also now goes up and down in the middle, so you can attach weapons to the top and bottom of the ship. And so that's how this game works. You're going out into the systems to shoot stuff, to collect money, to go back to the base, to power up, to buy new systems, and that's it, and so on. The game is also split into something called time slices, I think, which they advance every 2 minutes, and when they do, new systems and weapons become available, but the old ones are delisted, and there's other things to them time slices. They do other things, but it's kind of hard to get your head around. It's also worth noting that when you order a new system or weapon, they're not immediately available. You've got to wait a couple of minutes. So you've got to go back out fighting, wait for it to be built, come back, and then you can get it and install it. So what this actually means is that planning and forethought and experimentation are the order of the day here as you try and figure out what systems to buy and what works best. The first one to buy, by the way, if you haven't got the manual, is order the IC4 system, because what that does is that recharges your health when you're moving at over 50% of your speed, so you can at least fly around and get your health back, and that's very useful. In fact, it tells you that in the manual, because the manual goes into loads of detail, because it's another 50-page Rainbird manual special. So there's obviously been a lot of thought around all these aspects of the game and trying to introduce you to it, because they know there's quite a lot here and trying to get you, to understand what to do. And that's all, ace. Like I said, all around it's great. The problem is the game itself. It's just not much fun. So you simply fly around. So basically you start off. So the game starts with you at this base, and it's very nice, and you sort of docked into this station. And when you start, you kind of fly out, and there's scaffolding stanchions sort of either side, top of the building, and they fade out, and you go into the base. And essentially what you're doing is you're flying around. You fly around. You're unable to turn. You find the orbitals which are on your radar. You destroy them, destroy enough of them, you go from one to the next, till the nucleus explodes, you go collect the cash, return to base, and that's it. You repeat on the next level and maybe order some stuff. There are loads of nice touches to this. Like I said, presentationally, there's loads of nice touches here. The nucleus, at the start of each level, the nucleus spews out the orbitals in different arrays. So sometimes they're in a spiral, sometimes they're in two rings, sometimes they're different shapes and things like that. But for far too much of this game, I found myself just floating against an admittedly very well done multi-directional star field, whilst the odd sprite or Aether floated by until I got to an orbital which I was looking at, because the screen space basically is just space with some stars, and at the top you've got a radar which kind of shows you, and white dots are the orbitals or the nucleus. So you just fly to them. Line myself up to the left of the orbital, because obviously you can only shoot to the right, and I shot it, and then I just carried on. I mean, I gave this a solid go here. I read through the manual. I read all the way through the mental procreations sections in Zap, and, tried to get into the mindset that he wanted, that they're trying to go for in the manual, which is like this: you got to slow down. You take this on. This is not just your mad blaster. It's slow and thoughtful blaster you got to build up to. But for me, it just wasn't there. And just to add, when I upgraded my ship and put another weapon on, which was an each-way blaster or something, with EW something or other, it was rubbish. it shot fire out or lasers or something. They barely got away from my ship. And I was like, I've spent all that money and waited for that to arrive. What a waste. It was such an anticlimax to get a new weapon, and it was crap. It's a shame, this, because there's no doubt in the thought and the technical expertise in this game. And it all flows beautifully from the launch of the ship and the world fading out as you zoom down the track and fading back into the universe. Because I like what Braybrook said about that in the diaries, where he said he's coming at it from the wrong way. You do it from the point of view of the ship, where the world dissolves and instead of you fading out and fade back in, do it from the other way. And that's good. I like that when you see what he's trying to do. All those touches are really nice. The problem is the game part, the thing you actually do, is really lacking. There's nothing. Whether I'm missing some fundamental part of this game, I don't know. But I played this and got into this quite far, and I couldn't find anything there beyond floating around black space, shooting some orbitals and collecting some money from the nucleus and ordering stuff. This was unfortunately more Alley-Cat than Iridium and Paradroid, I'm afraid, as far as I'm concerned, which is a shame. I mean, don't know. What about you?
I quite like this game. I played quite a bit of this back in the day. The limitations that you've identified are simply the limitations of the game. I think this is a triumph of the technical ability of Andrew Braybrook and co. And everything that you said, I agree with. It's utterly flawless in its presentation and its delivery of what it's doing. It's just exceptionally put together. And it's easy perhaps to fall for that, because from its production and presentation view, there's nothing looks quite like it. It's quite unique in that respect. It's got a genuine, everything moves fast, and like you said, everything in this game is not flawless, and it's just everything is in perfect alignment with what you'd expect this game to have at this level. It's incredibly put together, and that belies, I think, some of the lack of gameplay that's in it. And I think that's, like you said, that's kind of the problem, is that with all the technical amazing things on display and the big graphics and the 32 multiplexing this and all those fancy stars that move and the way it moves and the ship moves around the little universes or whatever, and all of the the way it plays and all the look and feel of this game, it's beautiful to look at, but it doesn't back that up with enough solid gameplay. This is no Paradroid. This doesn't have all of that game under the hood. This just has a few simple things to go at. And I think because of that, if this had more mutants about it, and there was more like that, where even mutants, was a bit erratic, but it had more game to it than this. And so I think on the plus side, I quite enjoyed playing Morpheus from time to time back in the day. And from a technical perspective, this is just a tour de force of everything that somebody can do with the Commodore 64, really knows what they're doing. From a gameplay perspective, the big movements, the big sprites, all of that is hiding what is essentially a bit of a sort of a move around the void and bolt things onto your ship game. And if that's what you want to do and do a lot of that, then this game is going to allow you to do all of those things. There's good complexity, there's good scale of ideas in here. The upgrades are a bit weak in places. It's kind of, they do this some of these games. The upgrades don't seem to be very up. No. So it's just, I don't quite know. There's a few of the shooters that seem to do it as well.
Yeah, crap grades.
I think this game can be measured by perhaps not so much what it's technically showing, but what it's actually lacking. There's not enough shooting for it to be a shooter. There's not enough collecting for it to be a collector. There's not enough upgrading for it to be a shooter with upgrades. Nor do the upgrades feel particularly upgradey. All of the things that it should really be really good at, and there's not enough of those to make the game feel coherent. And so what you end up with is not a very good version of it, not a bad version, but not as good a version of any of those things. And if you take those things out, what are you left with? What are you actually doing? And at its heart, this game has a space, an empty space, which needed to be filled by a more compelling thing, or of something that was, maybe more enemies, might have been more things on the screen moving around, flying about, more frantic action, more panic. But it doesn't really feel like you're ever in any of those modes. And because it's not really down those roads, it sort of almost is in the same realm as where we went with Mutants, which is where we said, some of these things, it's just a bit obtuse, and it's maybe there's a good game in there somewhere if you really want to persevere with it. But it's such a shame because there's such technical prowess on display, and someone's put a lot of love and care in that game. Andrew Braybrook really cares about his games and the way they look and the way they play. And so I can't believe that he didn't play all of this out, because he must have play tested this to death to iron out the level of bugs that are in that, because there are none. But I think what he's done is he's gone a bit gameplay blind. And I've seen that happen with people that do those sort of things, where they play the game so much that they actually forget that other people have to play it too at some point and get what your thing was. And I don't think it does. I think that for all the effortless chops that are on display and the code and the amazing stuff and the slick play, the way this plays, you're just floating around a lot of empty space really from time to time. And
do you know you can make an argument, just thinking about it and listening to you talk and sort of think about some of the things you were saying about this is like an art house shooter.
Yeah,
it's like someone's taken a shooter and deconstructed it and said, right, what if actually instead of just collecting power ups in Nemesis and pressing the button that you got them immediately, let's actually take that back and say, well, what if actually what would you have to do? You got to go order them, you got to have a built in, you got to bolt them on, and like somebody's made some looked at what a shooter is and gone, well, what happens if we try and do this in a realistic way where it's a big ship, can't really turn, float around, but you've got to order these things, take time to build. You can't just bolt on missiles and stuff onto your ship willy nilly. And so it's almost like an art house version of Nemesis.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe there's a way of arguing that. I think maybe.
Yeah, it's like someone's taken the fundamentals of what shooters were at this point. Your Deltas, your Nemesis, all those ones in the arcade. You fire, your time. What was the ones we looked at? Slap Fight, Terror Cresters, and just gone right. Well, actually, I'm going to do that. It's like someone like Jim Jarmusch or someone like that looking at a certain type of film and going, well, if we're going to make an action film, let's take it back and say, let's deconstruct an action film, or some art house director, and go, well, what is an action film? And I don't know. I'm not saying it makes it right, because unfortunately a game's a different thing, but there's a kind of look at this, which is, this is a sort of realistic version of Nemesis in that all those shooter tropes.
Well,
and gone,
maybe.
But the problem is, it just doesn't make for a very interesting game from a playing perspective.
No, and it's a theory, isn't it, that Andrew Braybrook, in his attempt to try and make the ultimate explorative shoot 'em up, inadvertently made it into some kind of sort of Jean-Luc Godard version of Nemesis.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. I mean, I'm sure he wasn't aiming for that, but
my feeling is that what he was aiming to achieve, I think, was a more 2001 approach to this kind of idea. Games. If you've got shooting in games require a prescient level of either some kind of timing issue, some kind of urgency. They need a prescient level of urgency because this game needed to be enjoyable, and it lacks the very things that make these kind of games enjoyable. All of those things in of themselves are great things to have in games, adding things to your ship, floating enormous ships around, collecting things and doing all that. But there needs to be a sort of an urgency, a panic.
To do with it,
If you were playing Nemesis and it was neither here nor there, whether you went to the end of the level or not, it doesn't really matter. If you got the upgrades, you could have them or not. The game would be completely different tonally, and this game is tonally different. And I think it's suffering from that. Like you said, I think he's inadvertently just taken away the very thing that would have made this game feel more coherent as a. I mean, what is it meant to be? What is it pitched as? Is it a shoot 'em up? Is it collect 'em up? What is it?
To be fair, I understand. I read through the manual, but there's a big page at the beginning of the manual where kind of like you've got to approach this differently. It's you've got to think about it and approach it in a different manner, and it's not just a blaster; it's a thinking man's blaster.
Exactly. So if you're making a cerebral game, which then, but Paradroid is more cerebral than this, I think.
Exactly. I think that's a better correlation of those two ideas.
Yes.
I think you're right.
So this just lacks those things, and it's come at a cost, I think, of a bit of technical showing off. Actually, perhaps that's where those things got lost in the mix. Is that in classic Jurassic Park tradition, he didn't stop to think about the things he was putting in. He just kind of got on with doing the really complex technical stuff, but didn't stop for a minute to think that maybe this is not the best way to do that if you want to make an exciting game. No one's going to... Everyone remembers shooting loads of things, but nobody sits there thinking how marvellous the 32 sprite multiplexer is, except the people who do them.
Exactly.
Maybe it's that. Shame. I went back to this a few times, actually, to play this for the podcast, because I found it a difficult game to get into initially, and it took me a while to sort of get into the space of it. And maybe that's, like you said, that's the instructions. Take your time, do all this. But who wants games need to be loaded, on, blasting, blowing stuff up for me? And it's if you're not doing that pretty quick, then
that's the art film argument where you can look at certain films and go, well, we don't want to do that, or we're challenging the norms.
Yeah, you're breaking out of those. Exactly. You're challenging those things, and it's important that games do that as much as films do that. But don't expect anyone to like them if you're going to do that. No. I mean, Jean-Luc Godard might be the greatest director for some people in the world, but some of his films are utter crap. And so, you can explore all the fancy techniques of filmmaking you like, but at the end of the day, if your film's incoherent and boring, it's incoherent and boring, regardless of how pretty it might be, or how much dancing, or how many weird pigs you have bashed to death with a rock, or whatever.
You end up with Derek Jarman's Blue.
Yeah, that is the ultimate end game, isn't it? So, if you take it to the nth degree, if there's a version of Morpheus out there which is just a black screen. It's like, it's the most cerebral game of all. There's no game there. You've got to make it as you go along in your own mind. So,
there we go.
I think I'll just take the red pill.
Yeah, probably for the best. That took a tangent I wasn't expecting anyway. That just occurred to me just then when you were talking, but
I think you're right. It's important that we explore the avenues that these games open up. Morpheus is pitched as that kind of more thinking man's shoot 'em up game, and if it is, well, what am I thinking about? And
like I said, it's that notion of power up and stuff like that, but it's taken it to, well, hang on a minute, you got to order it, someone's got to build it, then you got to put it on, you got to have space for it.
Yeah, and who wants those things anyway? I mean,
that's what I mean. It's adding realism to something where I just actually want to blow up
Amazon.com the game.
Maybe.
No one wants to play that. If you order from Amazon, you don't need that, do you? You don't think about that. It's not like that.
And Morpheus. There we go. That's Morpheus. That went went deep, but sometimes
real
it's worth
deep.
a chat.
Muscle
real
deep.
Stop looking at my search history. It's got muscle deep. Oh, that's it. There we go. That's it for this week. Big episode, I think. Big episode. So what did we look at? We looked at loads of games. We looked at International Karate Plus, which was ace. On Cue, which was not. We looked at The Land of Neverwhere, which was bizarre. Athena, which was just, white sprites on a colourful background. Pi R Squared, which challenged our brains. We looked at Renegade, which was an important step along the what they call belt scroll format of fighters.
Yeah.
At least I've got a title now for that kind of game.
Yeah.
Mean City, which was CinemaScope, dual hatty, patty, panty,
mean
and
shitty.
whatever. Water Polo, which was probably a game nobody really wanted a version of.
Niche.
Anarchy, which won't bring Anarchy, and Morpheus, which turns out to be the thinking man shooter, the Jim Jarmusch of shooting games. Who knew?
Who knew that?
Who knew that? The Jean-Luc Godard, the god of dreams. Maybe that's what it's all about. That's it. We're done for this week. We've got more coming up next week. Do we need to go through them? I don't know. We've got Q-Dex, Scary Monsters,
Q-Dex in there, yeah.
Star Fox. They're quite high rated games this issue, aren't they?
Yeah,
Enlightenment, Druid 2, Solomon's Key, things like that. So we've got quite a few, another 10 games next week. That's it. Obviously, as ever, if you wish to help us out financially, you can join our Patreon, which is at patreon.com/zapped to the past. A couple of tiers. There's £1, which just helps us along and keeps us going, and we thank you very much for that. Or there's the higher tier, for price of a pint of beer, pretty much, which gets you early access to episodes, access to our Discord, any bonus episodes we put out, full versions of bonus episodes. So anything we've done before, which is the interviews and stuff like that, so you can find all them on there, and things like that. So that's all good, and obviously it helps us out massively. So that would be cool. And you also get your name in the shout out each month and things like that. So if you want to do that, head over there. On that, it's a big episode, this one. Anything else to add?
No, I'm all done.
Yeah, so that's it. So as ever, I've been feeling a bit more chipper this week. It's been more interesting games than we've had. So
IK Plus. So
IK Plus always does it. Pi R Squared did it as well. I like that as well. And I didn't mind Anarchy either. And also Renegade was quite a bit of a blast. So, good stuff. Bit better, thank God. The year ending on good stuff. So that's good. So as ever, I have been Adrian Mills.
I have been Graham Reddings.
And you've been listening to Zapped to the Past. And we will see you again next week. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to the Zapped to the Past podcast. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the world of Commodore 64 games, as well as the music, films and TV from around the 1980s, driven, of course, by the issue of Zap 64 magazine published at that time. We will return with a whole new batch of games and stuff to talk about next week. Until then, if you want to listen to or download previous episodes of Zapped to the Past, and why wouldn't you, they can all be found on our website at zappedtothepast.com, as well as being available on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Deezer, Audible, Player FM, and, well, pretty much anywhere where we can upload them. By the way, we do always love to hear from our amazing listeners, so if you'd like to contact us about anything in the podcast or beyond, you can do so by emailing us at zappedtothepast@gmail.com. We're also active on Twitter under @ZapTother, as well as Facebook, Instagram, and most social media platforms. Just search for Zap to the Past and you'll find us. Oh, and if you like the podcast and what we're doing, please do like, share, review, rate us. It really helps. Something, apparently. The Zap to the Past podcast is written and produced by Adrian Mills and Graham Reddings, and recorded at Flaky Bits 2.0 Studio. All opinions expressed are those of the writers, and while we indeed love Zap 64 magazine, the Zap to the Past podcast is not affiliated with it in any way. Stay safe, see you next time, and remember, we play these games so you don't have to.